So anyway, I don't have a sign on yet, but
Andy,
no. I mean, like,
you want to introduce yourself?
Welcome to the ViewsRmine podcast.
I wanted it to be Sky Medicine.
Yeah,
and I picked the name, so we're ViewsRmine.
Yeah, I know.
And mine was the minor guys. I mean, I see a majority here.
Manny, what would you name your podcast if you were going to have a activist podcast?
I don't know, but I like ViewsRmine. I think is a great name.
Yeah,
sorry guys.
It's modern, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, didn't leave me hang. Anyway, welcome to the ViewsRmine podcast. Today we have a special guest, Manny.
This is Manny. If you want somebody, in Congress and the government that doesn't seem like some out-of-touch person that Walmart created as a robot to, like, represent them or something, that's me.
You're an everyman, in other words.
Yeah, kind of hard to just say that, but...
It's okay. That's all right.
Yeah.
I mean, you're here in our garage, so that probably means... Uh-oh.
Yeah, this is very cool. Oh, shit.
Oh, okay.
We're perfect. Back. Yeah, I was gonna say, no, I'm thrilled to be here. This is amazing. I am honored.
We're honored to have you here, and
thank you.
I'm shocked that someone would watch our podcast, let alone want to come and
no, you guys already have
us.
like at least 100 subscribers. I think 94 when I checked.
That's generous. Maybe 100.
200.
100. Two. How many? This
it's growing.
This dog years. Subscribers in dog years, right? Like every subscriber's one.
We have an important message.
7 dog subscribers. Yeah. Speaking of dogs, I have one right here in my lap, and there's another one over here. There's my finger pointing as I'm looking in the camera. Okay, so Manny Manderson.
Oh, my name?
Yeah.
Oh, Emmanuel Anastos.
Okay.
But
Emmanuel Anastos.
Manny, yeah, Manny Manderson.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
For Congress. Yeah.
So you want to run for Congress?
Yeah. Well, are we gonna finish introduction? Sorry.
Oh, sure. Yeah. That was part of it.
Sure.
So Manny Manderson for Emmanuel.
Emmanuel Anastos.
Anastos.
Yeah.
For Congress. Drum gong for that. I'm Andy, and this is my problem, my fault, my podcast.
Inspiration. My name is Chris Baldwin. I'm a retired mining engineer, and I worked on the Iron Range for 25 years and a bunch of other places too. And this is my dream come true.
The bar is low for dreams.
I'm Mike Molesky. I worked in the taconite mines here in northeastern Minnesota for 42 years. Abundant layoffs, etc., and I got active in the union, and the poor people actually made me local union president for a while. We negotiated a contract in that time. A lot of interesting things when you're dealing with corporate people and mining.
We're a dog-friendly podcast here too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. These are our puppy kids. So thanks for watching, everyone. Today we're honored to have Manny.
CD8.
Why can't I remember your last name?
Oh, Anastos. Sorry.
No, I just want to say Manderson. Manny Manderson every time. Manny Anastos. You're running CD8.
Yep.
Congress?
Yeah.
Why Congress, not Senate?
U.S. Congress. Well, I don't know. Congress is the people's... Well, Senate is actually part of Congress. There's a Senate and the U.S. House of Representatives.
That's right.
There's 100 senators in the U.S. and I believe 425 members of the House.
There's not enough.
Yeah, some people want to uncap it and make it way more people, which I think is a fine idea. But anyway, Congress is the people's house, and right now I just feel like we don't have much real representation in Congress. And also, I mean, with the Trump winning the election and, how he really doesn't care about our democracy, I felt like I had to do something to step up to counter that. And, I mean, being the mayor of my town, I mean, yeah, every position matters, but, I mean, it's really the people in Congress and Senate, or excuse me, the House and Senate, the people of Congress that have the most power to fight back against Trump, get past this, and create a brighter future. So there's 8 U.S. Congress people in Minnesota, and
really only one for our area.
Yeah. There's just like, for example, Senate. We can vote on both senators because they represent the entire state. But everybody. There's 8 congressional districts in Minnesota, and you can only vote for the one in the district you're in. So right now, our representative is Pete Stauber. He's a Republican. I'm running in the opposing party as a Democrat, but I have to get the Democratic nomination first, which is definitely a competitive process, but I'm doing my best.
We're pulling for you. Hey, wait a minute. You're mayor of your town? What?
No, I'm not mayor.
Oh.
This was kind of disparaging to mayors because a mayor is a very important position. But my point was there was no time for me to start smaller. I mean, the disaster's now,
Well, I believe you.
being like,
gullible.
You know what I mean?
I'm trying to smudge here because you said that guy's name.
Oh.
Stauber.
Oh, shoot.
Shout out to Stauber. Hey, just let's put this out there in good faith, and I believe I'm completely genuine and honest. Open invitation to Stauber to come on our pod.
We'd love to talk to you.
Always, yeah.
There's a lot of information here you're going to need to know, Mr. Stauber. We're going to.
Yeah.
We've been digging in a number of ways.
Yeah. So,
and you love miners, right? Right, Stauber? You're all from the miners. These guys are.
I spent my whole career
I
doing this.
I looked. I didn't see Stauber in the Epstein files.
Well, that's a good thing.
It's the only thing.
Well, I'm not sure.
It's got that going for him.
I'll say this in all seriousness. I can't figure him out. I don't quite understand why.
Yeah, you're telling me that at the meeting.
He's so fixated on selling out the just entire Northeast of Minnesota. We gain nothing from what he's asked for, and he's giving away all of the state sovereignty for managing its own land. He wants to give it away to the federal government. I mean, that's the biggest federal government takeover that I can't believe that someone, from his side would push for.
It does seem like a really big betrayal.
We've had trouble having in-person meetings with him as well. We got to attend one down at the a restaurant down by Cloquet here last summer, and a number of us got to speak to him there. But generally speaking, his town halls are done by phone. They're screened, and the people aren't really given very good access.
Say, can I say something about the town halls he does?
Let me know when we're talking about mining, Joe.
No, I fall asleep. Oh, and we're back. Okay, so I'm going to try to pick up my point because we're going to have to edit out the fact that the camera died. Okay. Directional. Okay, here was my point. I'm going to try to recreate it. So Stauber does the phone tree town halls, which is, I think it's great. Lots of accessibility. There's a lot of people that get that. There's an opportunity to speak to him. But I'm guessing, I spent some time trying to look, and I couldn't actually verify that those are funded. The technology or how it's set up is funded by taxpayer money, correct? I'm going to say yes. That's my assumption. But then he screens calls so that he only has positive, supportive questions. There's nothing ever critical. If you have a critical question, you're never going to get a chance to ask it. So then he essentially is using the town hall phone tree thing as a campaign moment, because if he's only ever going to talk about nothing critical. It's not an actual town hall where your constituency gets to voice its concerns and say anything. It ends up being more like a campaign rally. And
unbelievable.
I want to say I think that's a Hatch Act violation.
I don't think there's any semblance of hatch left.
So anyway, that's my criticism with Stauber's phone tree thing.
Well, that's an important point.
Until you have a balance of critical versus supportive comments, or if you actually are seeking, he's made no indication that he's seeking critical opinions to try to improve anything he's doing, then I think that this is the town hall thing is not a town hall. It needs to be called a rally.
Sounds like what you're saying is ramrod job.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to break democracy down.
What's
it's up
that?
to us.
What's that Ojibwe word for that again?
Oh, booge?
Yeah, they're getting booged by the stop.
I don't know if I like that idea. I think it's important to understand what the Constitution says and what it means.
You get a lot of funding for your from the government, are you?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Not at all.
Taxpayers aren't picking
You
up
mean to run as a candidate?
your phone tree?
Oh, gosh.
God.
Gosh, no.
Well,
God, no.
this recording studio is $30,000 an hour.
What?
You didn't know that?
Who's this one?
Yeah, you're renting space.
Good thing we're rich.
What is an expensive studio like that?
Yeah.
Although there is a program for candidates on the state side
Yeah,
with matching
yeah.
funding, but it doesn't apply for the big dogs.
US.
Does it really?
Congress.
It really doesn't. Oh, that's a cool program, but because
At least this one that was brought up to my attention. There might be another one on the federal that does do that.
I've been following the one of the dogs is on our headphone cable. Okay, I've been following the Cat Abagazala campaign,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I've learned a lot about the in and outs of because she's very transparent.
Yeah.
She's talked about how much it actually costs to run. So what's your what's the most expensive part of what you've had to do so far?
Shit. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't. It costs a little bit to get off the ground, but I guess people are talking advertising, but we haven't really had much of that in our camp. I don't know. I invested in these huge 8x4 feet yard signs, and my good friend who worked in Mintac for 11 years has built the wooden frames for them, and we have a couple up. One's across the street from the Y store, going
Nice.
towards Tower.
Right.
The other one's on 53 at a private property.
Nice.
And quite a few more will be going up this spring.
Travel must
Most
be.
likely.
You're in the biggest
Grassroots, baby.
congressional district in Minnesota by far. It must be travel.
That's a cost, and sometimes I use campaign funds. Sometimes I'm like, I'll just use my personal if I got the money for it.
Hey, travel costs went up for some reason recently.
Oh yeah, why is that?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, it's the Epstein War.
yeah.
Saudis
it's
quit
a lot of
pumping
fun
oil.
to see diesel over $4 a gallon. Last time I saw that, I was living in Washington State.
Yeah,
Yep.
we'll see what happens.
Yep. Anyway, next topic.
Well, you have some exciting ideas that that we really need to make sure that
Yeah, what are you most excited about changing?
Well, there's several core programs that our country needs. One's universal health care, so when you go to the doctor, you shouldn't have to pay.
Yep.
Another is a living wage. Now, a lot of people think, oh, this could cause inflation or cause small businesses to go out of, and that's something that we do have to be smart about. But at the end of the day, we live in the richest country in the history of, I think, mankind. Everybody should make a living wage. I think everyone should make at least $20-$25 an hour. That's about what I make. It's enough to.
That's amazing. For those who don't know, my only professional training is I'm a teacher. So to see that kind of money would be amazing.
so you're almost up to $3 an hour.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
after you put in all the hours of stuff you do, not in the classroom, like grading and stuff, it's
You might as well be trapping mouse hides.
yeah, it's definitely undercompensated. But
Good one, Mike.
when
Yeah,
we're kind of at a,
$3 a ton.
are you a mouse hide trapper? Is that what's
I
going
might
on?
have to get into it.
There's big money in mouse hides. Smaller the better. The more I don't know.
Hibbing's ground zero. No, I'm just kidding.
There's a lot of mice here. You said something that kind of, to me, it's like we've talked about this sentiment for a long time that the economy is somehow like the victim of all of these policy things. Like inflation may go up because we don't have a living wage, and I think that people don't realize how bizarre that is.
Because we can also do anti-price gouging laws to make sure
Right.
that. But you probably know more, and you can educate me.
Well, you're giving me too much credit. I'm talking about, like, I think in most other countries, they wouldn't even question, well, what do you mean? Of course you have a living wage, because if you help everybody, then the whole thing goes up.
And it's not even really helping. It's just us, the people, determining what kind of country we want to live in. We're all one community, right?
Right. To me, there are laws that protect people against the sort of the sentiment behind antitrust was that when you have big corporate money, you have an unbalance of power, and the little guy can't compete against that. To me, that's what those laws are, or these policies are really about, is leveling the playing field so that this is like meritocracy, right? Like people who are capable and deserve it can get ahead and get their bread, you know?
Yeah, and we have this joke of an idea in our society that money is worth. I mean, you could be a billionaire like Elon Musk, and you're a junkie that no offense.
I need a horn or something every time we say his name.
I probably shouldn't be using that language. But I mean, it's used as a disparaging way to talk about people that don't have a lot of money. So why not apply it to the, to the wealthy people? I don't look at worth that way at all.
We're still stuck there in that idea that we have to be careful about. Like that's kind of what I mean. Like you have to be careful about saying something about poverty, and the reality is that poverty can affect anyone.
Yeah.
And the powers that work against people getting ahead are really pervasive in our country.
I'm dying to make a connection here, and wealth isn't strictly money.
That's a really
wealth
good point.
is so many other things. It is community, it's family, and it is also natural resources.
Right.
And the word recreation comes from the word recreate.
Right.
And what we've got here in northern Minnesota is some incredibly fascinating country. And we're talking about these people that are come to us for the votes, and then they turn around when they win office and they are giving away our natural resources to foreigners. That's completely wrong. And I understand jobs, but this is dead wrong.
Jobs.
Anybody want to comment on that?
You're right on.
Twin Metals is paying in pesos, I think.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What does that tell you?
Well, no, that's a really good point. Just why we're here in northern Minnesota is we have a wealth of natural resources that are beyond stuff in the ground. What did you just say about last fish you just caught?
Well, before I say that, I want to. So,
yeah.
Chris just said. Did you hear that? That Twin Metals is paying in pesos, literally foreign currency.
No,
or was that a joke?
Yeah, you can't take him seriously.
Okay.
He was asleep a second before that.
Their boss was in Chile. Yeah.
Yeah. The joke is that that's not a domestic employer. Like we're working really hard for the foreign employers here, and we're not working We're not working nearly as hard for the domestic ones.
Right. So.
Well, I guess I look stupid, but anyway. So your question, last fish.
We all have our moments,
Yeah.
and it's okay to be genuine.
I mean, and this stuff is so out of our control. Who knows what goes on,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that's why people believe anything. Like I was kind of gullible there, that's why people believe Trump. They feel like with the internet they don't know what to believe.
Well, you'd believe that because it's kind of what's been going on. Like, Antofagasta is a
Multinational.
Yeah, right, and so it doesn't seem. Can anyone name a domestic Minnesota-based mining company right now?
Where's Talon Metals from? Do you guys know?
That's,
they're a shell company.
Kennecott and Rio Tinto, I believe.
They're a shell company from the Caribbean.
Right.
Not from
But who's the parent? What's the bigger
It's a
shell layer?
partnership between Rio Tinto and Kennecott.
Yeah. So Rio Tinto, Kennecott, and now we have U.S. Steel, which is actually Nippon
in Japan.
So.
And we know what happened at Kitak when a Japanese company owned that. They just said, "Well, I think we're done here."
That was when it was National Steel.
Yeah, in 2003 they went bankrupt.
Yeah, and then explain more about that. That after they went bankrupt, they were purchased by
For $1, they got $1. They got the old taconite plant. U.S. Steel did.
Let me verify that. So for
$1.
Yeah, a transfer fee. Yeah.
Okay, now
That's like when your uncle sells you his old station wagon for $1 or something. But this was a mine.
A functioning.
Right.
Yeah, no, this
facility.
happened. That was 2003.
Yeah,
Is that-
everything. Yeah.
was that some sort of like corrupt thing or no?
Well, it's just
We do mining right.
yeah, it was thrown in with steel mills. They didn't actually want key tax because of the legacy costs of cleaning up and all this other stuff. So they kind of, all right, well, we'll take it, but
It was like we're doing you a favor for you. Yeah.
So
I see.
at the time, it used to be Hana, and then ITT Intergroup in Japan bought it.
That's what it was.
And so they had steel mills at Zug Island in Detroit and in St. Louis. So
Do they still?
yeah, and then the
Yeah.
taconite mines in Keewatin.
We'll come back to steel mills as a topic. But we were on this thread of talking about. I mentioned name a single Minnesota-based mining company. I mean, we have 3M, but that's as close as you could get to association. They don't. What was it? Mining, milling, and manufacturing. Was it mining? Is the one of the M's of 3M?
Yeah,
Was it really? Manufacturing, metal.
Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing. Yeah.
Manny Manderson. No, I'm just kidding.
Manny Manderson and yeah. Anyway, Jamie, pull that up.
So a Minnesota-based company.
A mining company.
Yeah, well, that would be Larry Layton over there at,
That's right. Yeah.
at Magnetation.
Yeah, but they're
that's
getting their money from the IRRB.
Well, yeah.
Did I say that on the pod? Oh,
Well, they're reclaiming old hematite tailings ponds.
right. I think I would like to, before I start saying more, put out another P-pop here. Put out another open invitation to any member, any board member, current or past, of the IRRB to come and sit in the hot seat and have a chat. Welcome.
That'd be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We got some ideas for.
For those who don't know, the IRRB is the Iron Range
I don't know. Resources.
Rehabilitation.
Resources and Rehabilitation.
We don't even know. Iron Range.
IRRB.
Iron Range.
Resources and Rehabilitation Board.
Trying to figure it out.
Something that's probably great and terrible all at once.
Well, they have a charter that says that they're supposed to do the thing that we all think mining is supposed to do, which is benefit the area.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like, and here's a wild accusation that they
Easy
really.
to know that.
I know. It seems like they are
Go
very
easy.
selective with
Right,
how
right.
they're applying those funds to.
What was wrong with the chopsticks factory?
Yeah, well, that's one example, but there's a lot of like pro mining only kind of funding going on. If you want to, I mean, all right.
Well, personally, I think they should work on some cleanup ideas.
Rehabilitation.
Yeah, I
Right
think
in the
that
name.
maybe that's my accusation. There is that the rehabilitation is
It's
lacking.
right in the name.
We'll say that. Spencer Igo,
Well,
and
I've been digging through your.
who's our representative?
Pete Stauber.
No, on
here,
the board.
Cal Warwood. Oh, I don't know.
Cal. We're just gonna name names.
We,
Cal Warwood, I think. Is
Here it's Spencer Igo.
Oh, it's Igo here. My bad.
And
He's
also Robert Farnsworth.
Yeah.
So
He's
if,
a senator.
if you're listening and you hear your name, just that's an open invitation to come on the pod.
This is a good place to get some down and dirty education about mining and minerals and pollution and
Yeah.
jobs.
And we have cute doggies to
One thing that seems to be unearthed there is how all this is happening right in front of us, and we're just looking at it. And that being that there's only a teeny little bit of sulfides in the ore.
When we talk about the wild rice standard for water quality, we're talking about 10 milligrams per liter. If you talk about that enough, you're going to think about that there are like a few teacups full of sulfates
Should we
escaping the.
Are we switching to that topic right
Well,
now?
I don't know if we should, but
Are you ready for that?
No.
So
Or yes.
Let's do this. Let's bring this up as a new chapter with a chapter transition title and all that.
So don't.
So we have been working on, as you may or may not know, trying to find. There's a term for this. It's like open source or public information investigation, something where you just use what information is publicly available to do investigations, and that's kind of what Chris, you've been doing, and we've become notorious for doing a little presentation about this. And one of the issues is that sulfide mining, which is the theme of copper nickel and the hypothetical threat to the ecosystem, right? Our claim is that it's already here in the form of iron mining, because the iron mines are rich in sulfates. So the MPCA, hang on with acronyms, Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, MPCA, regulates. This is background information for those who don't know. Regulates sulfates from mining discharge water.
The water permits.
Yeah, in the water permits. And the controversial limit that they've set is 10 milligrams per liter of sulfates.
If there's wild rice downstream.
Right. And they've set that because their claim is that they've done studies to verify that this is the controversial part. So who's ever in the comments, and set a timestamp that the MPCA is claiming that 10 milligrams per liter of sulfates in the water is damaging to wild rice, right? Now here's my claim.
That's the law.
Is that it's actually far less. It's like 30 micrograms of sulfate can harm wild rice.
There's a lot more studies going on too.
Which is like 0.3% of 10 milligrams.
Yeah, it's like 1,000 times less than, like a microgram would be like 1,000 times less than
Yeah.
So the counterclaim is that 10 milligrams, milligrams per liter. Well, there's more than that in a bottle of water. Not this water. This is pure water. But there's more sulfates in a bottle of water, right? Okay, so how could this be harmful? And of course, the issue isn't that is not the whole story, that sulfates are destructive for the environment in general, not just because they are specifically harmful for wild rice, but sulfates are a precursor to methylating mercury. Bacteria can take the sulfates and convert elemental mercury into very toxic methyl mercury that settles into your body.
So
when we're talking about 10 milligrams per liter, that doesn't seem like much. But Mike, I interrupted your point that you were making. 10 milligrams per liter is a lot. Let me pull up my little calculations here, and as you're talking about this,
it seems insignificant, and it's not. When you start to understand what really transpires there, and with no enforcement of that standard, it's pretty horrid. But the mining companies go to a lot of trouble here to try and get that standard either lifted or removed.
Right. Like there's only currently one company or one site that has a limitation, and that's at Keytac, where they're required to comply with 10 milligrams.
Yeah, and they had a variance for a time.
And they're still fighting to have that variance extended.
Yeah.
And every other mine site on the range has no limit set on how much the concentration, the milligrams per liter, are required to be in their discharge, in their permit.
Yeah.
Regardless,
they're only required to report it. So that interestingly, that report is public data,
and there's a lot of it.
A lot of data.
Oh my gosh, yeah. They've been reporting. The requirement is that they have to get their data in within 21 days after the end of the month. And so they're very careful about making sure it gets done. And all of it's publicly available. And it's called data mining. And that's what I've been doing for a couple days here.
I'll put a link in the doobly-doo. Where have you found this?
Yeah, on the MPCA website, there's all the sampling data for all the mines is there. And through a voyage of discovery, you can calculate how much all these mines are discharging. And because it's in milligrams per liter, and you have the volume of the water, you can calculate how many tons per year of sulfite is being emitted. And so I've been building a spreadsheet that shows what all the mines are emitting. And this is new. This is new information. You're getting it first here.
And kids, you'll love this because this is on the computer. This is something that you can go and look at, right?
Gosh,
If I can find the link, this is embarrassing.
You have to find my spreadsheet.
So to just carry my point a little bit, we're talking about numbers that are almost microscopic, 10 milligrams per liter. But when you understand a liter, what are there, a couple of liters or 3 liters or something in a gallon?
Yeah, it's like a quart.
And one of these mines puts out almost 7,000 gallons per minute.
Right, which turns into billions of gallons a year.
So while I'm trying to find this, we were doing some back of the napkin calculations here. If you direct your gaze to the screen, and Chris, you'll help me if I'm getting this right or wrong, but we were looking at a site here that was reporting, what does that say? Oh, gallons per minute. So this site is 6,500 and something. Wow, guys, my eyes are bad. 6,896. Thanks, Mike.
That's what's leaking out of Mintac.
So this is
tailings pond.
This is an
into
example
the groundwater
from Mintac. So we're talking numbers reported from Mintac, and this is the amount of water volume leaking from. Say it again.
Out of the tailings pond. It leaks because there's no liner underneath it. It just goes right into the surface groundwater.
Right. So this is not an obvious leak. This is a hidden leaking underneath.
When you realize that the reservoir is 15 miles around, it can be leaking all over the place to come up with that volume of leakage.
And just for the general population, that's watching this video. So basically what happens is with the iron ore mining, there's this huge pond called the tailings basin that they put the toxic stuff in to contain it. But it sounds like, according to what these guys are saying, it doesn't really contain it the way it's supposed to.
Well, we got pictures.
Right. It's...
what these guys are
we got pictures
have determined, based on the facts that have.
It's all publicly reported.
It's water contained by an earthen dam built over gravel and glacial till,
and made out of sand.
Yeah,
it's like
compared to a pour-over coffee filter.
Exactly,
right? Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so I'm still struggling to find. I'm really bad.
Yeah, you're trying too hard.
I can't see that far away. The monitor's like 6 feet away from
But
me.
you clean your windshield though.
My eyes just don't work.
Shouldn't drive like that.
Okay, let's go back to this. So we got oh wait, can I make it bigger? No. We got 6,900 and help me again, Mike.
6,896.
Okay, thank you. Gallons
per minute.
6,000 gallons per minute is.
It's in the report.
It's in the report. This is a number that is self-reported by the mining company. Okay, their concentration that they're at Mintac, their self-reported sulfate concentration is.
Well, they're reporting 26.5 tons a day of sulfate.
Okay, so did you kind of figure out how they got, like, what the milligrams per liter concentration that would be?
Yeah, so their sampling right outside of the dike is around 1,000 milligrams per liter.
What? Say again.
Around 1,000.
And
and it goes right downstream into wild rice, all the way up to Lake of the Woods.
Okay,
and beyond.
But 10 milligrams was too much?
Well, 1,000 is 1,000. I mean, that's what they're. It's what comes up under the fence when.
That's a lot.
Under the dike.
Yep.
It's.
So what do you call 1 gram in water?
1 milligram or 1 gram?
Because you said 1,000 milligrams. That's like one gram, right? Sorry.
Right.
I don't know. If
Well,
there's a
right.
metric.
No, you're right.
Yeah, it's
you're
a
right.
gram.
It's a gram of sulfate per liter.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
You'd be able to taste that.
Yeah, I'm
It
picking up.
probably
what you
look
mean,
like that, but
Yeah. Okay, so that's a lot. And it's. Well, I did a conversion of liters to gallons, 2.45 or 2 something. I can't read my own.
Well, just for fun, last night we were penciling this out, and at 6,896 gallons.
That's what we're getting at here.
Yeah, we multiplied that by that's per minute, and there are 60 minutes in an hour, and 24 hours in a day, and 365 days in a year, and we come up with 3.6
right here.
billion.
Gallons of water per year.
that
Right.
leaks out from under the. Yeah.
Right.
And if you take the 500 or 1,000
1,000 milligrams.
1,000 milligrams per liter, you can easily calculate how many tons of sulfate are escaping that one reservoir alone.
Right. So that's gallons, 3.6 billion gallons. So you'd have to convert gallons to liters, which is a bigger number. I did that, and I got
And then there's milligrams
one
per
of those.
ton.
Is
It's
that
kind
it?
of a weird number.
That's milligram. That's liters per.
13 billion.
Is this? I don't know. I wasn't sure if I got. It's a lot.
It
It's
looks-
just a lot. So the point is.
Should have me do this.
What?
I keep going.
Oh yeah. The point is that 10 milligrams per liter ends up being a lot, like a lot of actual amounts of sulfate, which is it's a dissolved chemical in the water, but it's a huge flux of
But
material from the mines. So when you say, and this is the point, if we've belabored this point too long already, the point is that the crisis of the potential, hypothetical copper nickel mining is going to be sulfates flushed into the environment, and we're claiming it is already happening. This is the drum we're going to be beating here, is that sulfate pollution is already here with iron mining in a completely uncontained crisis.
And there are no copper nickel mines in Minnesota. No copper mines, no nickel mines, no copper nickel mines. There's none of that going on.
but
This
actually
is all
they've-
out of yeah, you're right.
They've
That's
actually
correct.
started stripping some of the rock, though.
Yeah,
That's got all that hibbity stuff in it.
that's the Virginia Formation.
So, well, the point is that what's coming out of the Mintax tailings pond is 100 times the limit prescribed by law, and it's never been enforced. And so the threat is that if it's enforced, well, that'll just shut all the mines down, and we don't want the mines shut down because then nobody's going to clean the mess up.
They run away.
And we've got some ideas on how to clean it up that could be implemented. So this is a serious problem because it's a health concern, because it methylizes mercury and it gets into the fish, and then people eat the fish and they get sick. And if the copper nickel miners get the same lack of regulatory control over sulfide emissions that the taconite miners have, it'll be 100 times worse or something. It's going to be a lot worse.
So my understanding is the way that people get sick is that women that eat the fish give birth, or eat fish frequently give birth to children that have higher levels of mercury, and it causes birth defects. But can you guys delve into that a little more? Because plenty of people out there are like, oh, I ate walleye the other day, I didn't get sick. What are you talking about?
Right. So
Well, that's exactly the thing that's happened for people is we've got to be careful about making sure this is purely an anecdote, but people have eaten fish meals in Minnesota and ended up with mercury poisoning. And yeah, it can happen from not a lot of regular eating, like a couple fish a week.
Is that something that happens over the long term where you notice something over the course of weeks, or is it something where you just start throwing up all of a sudden?
well, it affects your IQ,
That's a birth defect is the IQ thing, but
it's a nerve problem.
Yeah, mercury poisoning is other symptoms like you get
neurological.
you get the
Tremors.
tremors. It affects your hearing. your hearing and your eyesight.
So, like, for example,
and your
there's
ability to know the difference.
would you say like in Vermilion, I'm likely, or like lakes like Hay Lake that are really heavy in that?
Vermilion's probably the worst in the state.
Well,
Sorry.
Well,
Sand Point.
Sorry.
they're right down range.
Crane
that's for
Lake.
sure.
Crane Lake, yeah.
Crane Lake has had a fish advisory forever,
Yeah.
but not literally not forever. But since mining has taken over here, and Sand Point is downriver from Crane Lake, and that one meets up with pollution, the sulfates that come from a different source over in by Babbitt, and that runs all the way up the Rainy River, and they meet at Sand Point Lake. So anything beyond there, you know, you're getting into bigger waters there. But man, that's a focal point.
it's unbelievable because Crane Lake, you kidding me? Voyageurs National Park, that's supposed to be
That's
like the
Voyageur.
pristine stuff. You're telling me they got a water
Namakan, Sand Point,
advisory
Crane.
not to eat the
Because it's
food.
downstream.
And Stauber wants to dig up more right upstream.
make it about 100 times worse with copper nickel mining.
And we're not against mining.
Yeah,
We'd like to see it be a little bit more responsible and not just take bankruptcy out and avoid legacy cleanup. But it's a serious problem.
It's windy in here.
And the data
Was it me? Hope it's not me.
all this data that's been turned in every month is publicly available, and I've been doing quite a bit of data mining now that I'm not digging dirt, and I've got some really important information to tell you and explain where I got it and how important it is affecting the general conditions before copper nickel mining starts. The whole environment has already been preloaded with sulfates for 50 years. What I've discovered is that there's about 10,000 tons a year going down the St. Louis River and about 10 or 12,000 tons going north up to Lake of the Woods. And it's been doing this every year, and there's bioaccumulation
that's the magic word right there, bioaccumulation.
so it magnifies as the larger fish eat more smaller fish, the bigger fish have higher levels of mercury in them.
Right.
So generally what people do in the recommendation is to eat the ones that are just a little bit bigger in the minnow so that well, it's hard to clean things. They're
the
too
smallest
wiggly,
fish.
you know.
There's a lot of reasons to keep the small ones, but however, I mean, if you're catching a trophy walleye, that thing has spent 10 or 15 years swimming around in the water, and that's that much time
Absorbing
mercury. So
Right.
the mercury, it's like compounding interest, where you have it starts as, you know, it's tasteless, odorless, colorless, all that, and it's dissolved in the water. But when microscopic things like algae,
microinvertebrates, crustaceans,
the benthic
minnows.
invertebrates, and when they eat the little things that are absorbing this, you know, waters,
The amoebas.
I don't know.
They're not amoebas.
Well, I mean, like, that's the thing, but not quite. We're talking
Okay.
benthic invertebrates, and my biology.
He's a
flex coming.
science guy.
So, algae. Let's start with algae. Algae to benthic invertebrates to fish. It's very small amounts of mercury, but you imagine all of the algae accumulated by a minnow, and then eaten by a small fish, and then eaten by a bigger fish. You know, if you have 15 years of accumulating all of that heavy metals, it stays in the organism. It adds up, and then you end up with a very toxic heavy fish.
How about if you smoke them fish? Does that take that mercury out?
No.
Boy, I'd cough a lot if I
It's-
tried that.
You should put this out there as a PSA.
You can't smoke it out.
Yeah,
There's a rumor going around.
that chronic wasting in deer, mercury in fish. These are things in the organisms that are not removed or mitigated by cooking or smoking of any kind.
Well, we
Stop thinking
got
that.
labeled for being all doom and gloom about this, but we've got some ideas on how to fix this. If anybody'd like to listen,
Hold on,
And-
you're jumping topics
well,
too quickly, because we like to belabor things here. I want to ask you were asking about the issues of mercury. Does that kind of answer what you were asking?
Yeah, I think that's pretty dang good.
Pretty dang good.
Yeah, but at the same time, I guess just clarify: is this something that you'll note when you get mercury poisoning that you'll notice over the course of a few
You're
weeks,
going to start feeling really
scratch.
sick.
or will it be like immediate?
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
It's kind of like LSD.
I think that's what you're talking about is the real issue here, is that we really are not clear about what this would look like in our population. And this is the call to action for all of our lawmakers.
Here's
Is that we should be able to know. We should have publicly accessible data. Doctors should be encouraged to report specific symptoms related to mercury poisoning to the CDC, if it still exists by the time you get there. Those are the kind of, like, in Minnesota, we're sort of lagging behind in how our public awareness of some of these things are advancing. We really don't know how severe or to what extent this crisis is. And my soapbox is that I don't think any of us want to find out how bad it could get. I think that it's more important to act on if there's a potential health crisis, to err on the side of caution and to act on something preemptively rather than as a response to it later on,
There's a resolution that came through caucus in northeastern Minnesota here about resuming the human impact assessments. That study was abandoned in 2017 or 18, something like that.
Manny, do you know about that one?
in Duluth.
Yeah, it was in northeastern Minnesota. It was a study. You familiar with that?
They checked placenta on newborns, and
Yeah.
Is that what that was the?
Oh, it's kind of ringing a bell.
Yeah, it was a measure of mercury.
For mercury, yeah, it's ringing a bell a little bit. Yeah.
What was the dates on that, Mike?
I believe it started in 2014, and I think it was the University of Minnesota, but it was stopped in 2017 or 18. And at that
We
point,
don't know why.
Yeah, I kind of curious why, but I don't know why. But at that time, they discovered that 10% of newborns born in northeastern Minnesota were carrying a load of 10% of the toxic amount of a toxic amount of mercury in their systems.
And that's from doing something. That's not from parents, using chemical substances or drugs or
Right.
anything. Like, this that's from doing a good thing,
Yeah.
eating fish.
Eating
Yeah.
fish or breathing the air here or whatever.
Fish are
But,
healthy, but they're not.
What to define that a little more carefully, toxic is the term used to define threshold level brain issues, learning defects, and brain problems.
Neurologic, yeah.
So this is really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
That this would be in a world where I keep doing the pop in here. In a world where the potential risk of mercury in a vaccine, even we're anywhere near a vaccine, causes that's how we ended up with an RFK Jr. But this amount of toxic mercury that people are, yes, like positively being exposed to without a doubt, is completely noticed by the public, despite the fact that the public claims to be very aware of mercury problems. Or maybe at this point it should be obvious that it never was about mercury and vaccines after all, and that's another topic.
It's like driving a car down the road. You're speeding up, and pretty soon you hit 50 and shut the headlights off in the dark, and keep on speeding up.
Yeah, and
Why
then say
was
we
that-
do mining right.
Yeah, why was that study canceled?
Right.
It's unconscionable, but
Can I get on my other soapbox for a second? Okay, we don't have to wonder what could happen with a widespread industrial pollution, methyl mercury poisoning pollution event. There are lots of cases in history where that's happened, and we've been able to study a population level, crisis. And I think that adage of if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it, is really true here. And what should Minnesota do? We should be a pioneer and a leader in public health and mitigating these specific things.
So they tried to do that in the 70s and did a moratorium on any more copper nickel mining until they got a regional study done.
Right.
And I think if I had a choice, I would say that we should do a very intensive regional study again, now that we've got 50 years worth of data.
You guys know about the Prove It First Act?
Oh, we could talk about that for a long time.
They know more than me. So
what would you want to say about it?
Oh, nothing. Go on. Just make it, because that's one law that I learned about that has to do with this. Go on.
Should we talk about that as a topic?
Well, part of the concern is that the 70s regional study said that in the future, when this becomes more of a concern that you're going to start up mining, that we really need to look at the background effects of taconite mining and the sulfates that have come from taconite for a long time.
Oh, I guess actually I do have a question. Was the Prove It First Act, is it passed and in effect, or was it just proposed?
It was shot down.
Oh.
It was successful in Wisconsin.
Do you guys think that would be sufficient here, or does there need to be something else, more wide study done? In
the immortal words of my friend Becky Rom, if you are successful at Prove It First, you will wind up with a mine.
Right. So in other words, Prove It First is saying prove that the mine that you're proposing will be safe and environmentally responsible and won't be detrimental. And
all through operation and closure for 20 years.
Right. And as we've looked at all of these
examples,
permit applications, we've seen that this is essentially trivial for mining companies to prove that it can be safe. It's like proving cancer or smoking doesn't cause cancer. They'll say anything. And if you want them to prove it first, they've already done it in a lot of ways. And
we have regulations right now that say you aren't supposed to exceed this amount of toxins or impair any waters, and that's not enforced. So
what more would we be proving that happens? Because that's the issue, is that once it's proven, then the implementation is lacking, and there's no enforcement of these. There's another issue to this, is politically. I think that the opposition knows that a Prove It First law is a moving the bar law. In other words, they're trying to claim, the Democrats are trying to use this to say, we don't think that you can prove it first. It's a disingenuous, bad faith claim that we'll agree to go ahead with a mine if you fit these criteria, because the opposition knows that as soon as that criteria is matched, it will just be moved a little further down the line, just to say, no, we don't want a mine. We meant Prove It First this way, So we can do better than Prove It First, and I think that our where we've settled at it, understanding is that at the end of the day, the crisis of leaking sulfates is the thing to focus on. So our counter to Prove It First is 100% containment of sulfate pollution.
Yeah, and just to be clear, Prove It First is the mine that hopes to open has to show an example of one single mine anywhere else in the United States that's been opened.
Yeah, they always pick the Eagle mine for some reason.
So
for 10 years and then closed for 10 years and didn't do it.
Oh, that's what it is? It's 10 years and then a closure. Okay, yeah.
So I worked at a gold mine in South Carolina, the Hale gold mine. It was the site of the first gold rush in America in 1828.
That's Haile.
Haile. So we were tasked with permitting and getting the mine started up, and I was technical services superintendent. So we had a phone call with lawyers, and we were in the middle of doing our permitting, and the project manager said, well, we're at a crossroads. We can decide here today how we're going to proceed, and that we can either continue on with our style of mining that we're experienced with, or we have an opportunity to build a world-class containment. And that's what we did. It cost an additional 20% to the project cost, but the idea was to put in double liners with clay and under drain leak detection. So that should have been the 100% containment. The company got bought by Oceana Gold in Melbourne, Australia, not too long after we started up. And this baton of earnest desire to comply and make the 100% containment, well, it didn't pass along to a foreign mining company very well. So at the same time, as we were intent on building this world-class containment, and it is, the rest of the pieces of the puzzle, not only the regulatory agency, but the foreigners that were running it, just didn't have the same resolve to accomplish the same mission as we did initially. But it can be done, and that doesn't mean that it could be done. It's more like the environment of regulatory control, the past practice of non-containment of sulfates from the taconite mining. It would be very difficult to convince anybody that you could have 100% containment.
And is this for any mine, or just with iron ore mines, or copper nickel?
The claim is that there's between 8 and 10 billion tons of copper nickel ore, which is almost the same magnitude of size of reserve as the entire Iron Range. Mm-hmm. So this would be a huge impact of many square miles of tailings basin, because it's a low-grade deposit. And this end of the Iron Range, like we were talking before, doesn't have as much clay for natural liners and whatnot. So it's a real challenge to, from what I can see, of complying with our concern that there should be 100% containment. We're already living in an area that's preloaded with 50 years of sulfate mining, and it's already having deleterious effects.
I'm starting to see what you're saying, yeah.
And so if you don't clean up the crap that's already here, and you get a permit to add more to it, geez, I don't think that's responsible mining. I'm expressing my concern. I was the technical services superintendent. I have probably the best firsthand knowledge of how to do this of anybody in Minnesota.
Is that who's just over your shoulder there, just over your left shoulder?
Yeah,
right behind you.
Well, that was a photo thing.
That young fella right there.
Yeah. Maybe explain that. That's proof of the fact that you were.
I was there.
This is a promotional poster made for Hale Gold Mine,
right,
at a mining conference, right?
Yeah.
And that was you were the model that was posing underneath a pickup truck.
The little plaque above your head there. That was my award for the one right
with this O&K shovel here.
Yeah, that was another job.
Or is that a P&H?
O&K.
What's O&K?
The German.
Yeah, those Germans.
Well, anyway, there's a placard up there. They don't give this out to everybody, but I
little flex.
Yeah, I kind of do a little out of box thinking, and my concern is that we should all be concerned with what we were already doing now, and part of the issue is to understand what we're looking at already. So last year I hired an airplane and we went up and flew around and took 1,000 pictures of all the tailings ponds, and that led to what we're doing now, because we're recognizing that all this stuff is just spewing out into the countryside here. It's not being contained.
There aren't many public roads that go by the tailings reservoirs.
Right. It's hard to get there.
Yeah, and even if they did, you wouldn't be able to see over the.
Yeah. And a lot of people have said, "Why don't you fly a drone over it?" Well,
it's miles.
yeah, it's too difficult.
Yeah, we flew. Our little circle was 250 miles.
Right. And that's trespassing. I mean,
Well,
we gotta play by all the rules here. Yeah. So, yeah.
well, it was a big reveal to everybody.
I want to try to catch one of the threads that we started. Where were we at here?
Sorry.
Well, we're trying to understand what to do
fine.
next.
We can pause if you need to.
No,
And
no.
it-
Yeah, you're good.
It's
We're
it's
not
a big
offended by things
concern.
like I think what is important in having you here is that you have an opportunity to affect some of this, and everything that we've talked about so far is regulatory, level. So what Chris was talking about is that the mine he worked at was intended and did do the We Do Mining Right. That was a perfect 100% good faith example of a prove it first, and yeah, they did. However, that the contingency following that design and implementation was that the mine was sold, and the new owner was not required to comply and to carry the torch forward of good faith environmental stewardship, and they didn't. And even the best case scenario can be compromised somehow, and the best way to mitigate that isn't by design of the project or by technology, but is by implementing really robust regulation at the state level, not just a federal level, because the federal level of EPA and water protection existed, but that wasn't what would have intervened on the company ownership changing to ignore the promises that they had made to the public that live nearby.
Well, there's pretty obvious that there's a concern that the $92 million it cost to build that containment would have made the product, unsaleable. Well, if the mine sold, that kind of proves that concept wrong.
Right. There's always a market for these things.
Yeah.
That was a gold mine, by the way.
Yeah,
too, so
well,
it was a little higher value than a copper nickel mine.
well, and at the time there were 2 million ounces of reserve, and I think they've been drilling, and they came up with 10 million ounces. So
Right.
we're talking about you can buy everybody at Rolex.
Yep. So in Minnesota, as we've picked through some of these permits, and you've applied your background to analyzing permits. By the way, you've written your own sulfide mine permits.
Yeah, I've got one tattooed on my butt.
A successful one that earned a mine, and
We did it in 3 years.
yeah, did in 3 years, no big deal. Oh yeah, we got a permit.
Well,
no big deal. Yeah.
There's some important facts about accelerating the permit process, which is a lot of discussion right now. And the idea is to reduce the intense study of alternatives. So if you have one present one style or containment or whatever you're going to do, you have to have some ability to challenge that and see how robust a plan that really is. And what we discovered with Polymet is their intention was to simply deposit the copper nickel tailings right on top of the old taconite tailings from LTV. And it's already leaking at, in some places, more than 1,000 milligrams per liter.
Right.
And now they're going to add even more to it. And so the judge looked at that whole thing and threw it out because it was going to make pollution worse.
This is Polynet before they became is it
New Range.
New Range, and this is the permit that they were granted and then immediately rescinded.
So the permitting process, and this is what I spent days and days doing, is that you challenge your mine plan with alternatives. And, well, maybe you could do it this way, or what if you did it this way? How much would it cost to do that?
So you play your own devil's advocate.
Oh, well, we hired a third-party engineering company to try to beat us at this game. It was a very difficult amount of work.
So let me just ask you.
It made a very robust permit at the end.
Do you see that happening here?
Well, it should be done.
But do you see it happening here?
The problem with accelerating the permitting process is that you'll come up with something that's much less robust in the end. And I think that this whole attempt that one other guy, what's his name? That he wants to do to accelerate the permitting process. Yeah, you got a smudge again.
Yeah, we invoked the name.
It's really the height of irresponsibility, and I'll say that again. The height of irresponsibility is to cause so much environmental damage that there's 500 years worth of pollution effects from the legacy mining of high levels of sulfide ore.
It's not worth it.
Well, we really need to understand whether we want clean water and recreation and the land of sky blue waters, or more tailings ponds and giant pits.
Right.
I heard the word devil's advocate. Oh, sorry. I heard the word devil's advocate. And
Yeah.
I did. Before coming on this podcast, there was two things I saw that made me want to not play devil's advocate, but ask you guys a couple things. Perspectives I've heard in favor of the copper nickel mining, but we can get to that whenever, because you're in charge, Andy. Whenever.
No, let's go.
This would be a good time to ask.
Yeah,
sure.
Ask us.
So, there's two things, and I'll should I say them both, or should I say one and you guys respond to one?
Yeah, one at a time.
Okay. So the first one is a good friend. I actually asked him if he'd be interested in, if he was busy this weekend, and he said he's making he's up at Lake of the Woods fishing, just caught a big walleye, 24.5 inches. He's making the wooden frames for my signs. He worked at Mintac for 11 years.
There we go. It's a big walleye.
And he's a Democrat, he's not
it's okay.
He's on our side, on the people's side, agrees with most of the people when it comes to, we all need health care.
In other words, he doesn't believe the election was stolen.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. He sees the truth in a lot of things. And he considers himself a fatalist. Like, he doesn't recycle because he says, that it's not, all those materials are going to go in the earth, and we're going to, at some point, they're going to be valuable.
I laugh because it doesn't seem like we're all fatalists at this point.
Yeah, that's a good...
Anyway, go on, yeah.
No, that's a good point. So that's one of the things he says, all this stuff that we think is horrible, like plastics or whatever, we're going to dig it up at some point. Don't quote me on what but then it's going to be valuable. And he says, when talking about the whole copper nickel thing, he's like, that as far as I know, we can, it could bring a whole bunch of jobs to the region, and and he lives in Embarrass, right next to that former Polymet mine or whatever, where they're LTV, where they're hoping to do it. He said something about the only way that it could get contaminate things is if we have 100-inch rainfall, and then it would spill over the top and contaminate everything. And then I kind of told him, hey, do you want to come? And he did say, he's like, oh, well, I would have to look in all the facts first,
Oh boy, I would love to have him on here.
So, anyway,
What do you think?
I don't know what you guys think about that. If it's like, no, it's not just about spilling it over. Like if you dig it up, it's gonna contaminate the groundwater. If you guys can easily refute that argument, or what?
Oh yeah.
It never ever goes over. I mean, there were a couple of blowouts.
Yeah, it's built out of sand, so it just goes right through.
So it's
out the
always
bottom.
spilling out.
Right.
That's,
It doesn't have to like go over the top of this thing, right, to spill
Right.
out. It's just when you mine, you're saying it's
Yeah,
just
show them some pictures.
Yeah, we got something loading.
Yeah,
here.
basically it reports underneath the dike because there's no liner, and it comes right up through the water table.
That's what we were talking about before, with the 6,896 gallons.
That's what's that's what goes.
Going, that's evacuating it's leaving the reservoir.
yeah. But some of the stuff is spilling over the reservoir, right?
No.
Or no?
Yeah, no, it doesn't look like anything's spilling or
It
leaking because
could.
it's pumped from inside the dike back to the plant. But it rains a lot, and where's all that water going? There's a water balance that doesn't equal like the evaporation rate and the water influx rate from rain doesn't balance out unless you have something coming out of the entire pond, which is coming from underneath.
Okay. I'll
show you a diagram as soon as I can.
might have been
read these.
misspeaking to constituents out there. I thought that part of it was that it sometimes flows over the sides, but some of it.
If it did, and it rained that much, the rain would probably be a neutralizing effect. So the water that would go over the top would be a lot more diluted, but that's not a solution.
Yeah, that's bad too, because there's examples of that happening in other countries like Brazil and what's the big one that collapsed? The big that I'm thinking of, Dad. The
one up in Canada.
Brumadillo.
Yeah, that one.
So basically, it's to make sure how the stuff that goes into the pond doesn't penetrate the surrounding groundwater. Is that like the whole ball game?
Yeah.
And so they all do. All the taconite tailings ponds are built out of sand.
Right.
And there's no water. There's not much resistance to water flow.
And you guys were talking lime is what they need.
Liners, yeah.
Liners.
Big heavy plastic and
Liners,
and
but
clay.
Also, I guess you could use lime.
I think that's what you
were
said,
saying lime at one
Chris,
point.
when we were talking. Yeah, that lime would be one material you could use for the limer the liner that would.
Well, one of the methods of backfilling the pits that I worked on at Hale Gold Mine was to add 2 pounds per ton of lime to the trucks as they went back down the hill to dump, and that get mixed in with a dozer. So the hydrated lime, like farming lime, it's used all over the will help neutralize that effect. That is one method that farmers use.
I see.
And it was something that I helped design at Hale Gold Mine.
Okay, why is our dog doing this?
There are a number of ways of doing this that would help mitigate the current situation with taconite mining. That I'd love to see a test done.
So if my friend could sit down here and see what you guys are saying, he'd probably be pretty easily convinced.
I don't know. I'm not going to say if anyone's easily convinced or not, but I'm struggling to be able to use.
The concern goes back to we do mining right and being responsible. Well, what's that mean? What's the responsibility mean to everything downstream? And if you look at the magnitude of the sulfate that's going downstream now, it's kind of like, geez, I think there's a problem here, and the problem is that nobody knows. And so this data mining that I've been doing with all the sample points that have been turned in every month, and you add all this stuff up, is an astounding amount of pollution. And really nobody knows that.
Yeah.
But because nobody sat down with a spreadsheet and added all this stuff up. And I just finished doing it. And I can tell you how much it is, and I never knew this. I've spent 20 some years up on the range, digging and mining and building tailings ponds and digging holes. I didn't know this. And
I'm not willing to say that this stuff was concealed because it's publicly available. But in 42 years of mining, I never knew we were doing this. And now it's stunning.
so I guess we're trying to tell you that we've stared at this a long time and spent our careers doing this and didn't realize how much there was. Now, what do we do with it is the big question. I think it's much better to leave a legacy, and that's what we're trying to do here, of knowledge and understanding that we do need to look at this a lot harder. And that was what they tried to do in the 70s with a regional study on copper nickel mining. And their recommendation was that as we get closer in the future, that this all needs to be really evaluated with how much sulfate has been loaded into the environment now from taconite mining.
Yeah.
And not very many people know this. I can guarantee you that. There's some half knowledge that, we know it's out there, but I've got numbers. And
These numbers were collected by the mining companies and reported to the MPCA. And Chris is the first one that's using these. And they're
I still can't believe that. But
they're hard to believe.
It's astounding how much there is, and it would be irresponsible not to really examine this and take responsibility for it. Jobs are important. I will never I've worked here on and off so much that it used up my war chest too. The intermittent cycling of mining and the economics of taconite mining, I think nobody's come out rich. During the downturn times like we're in right now, it's costing these families, they get some unemployment, but it's only 60%.
And it's temporary.
There's a lot of money paid out by the state for unemployment benefits,
but it still doesn't make you whole.
I mean, no, and that's all the holy cow. It's an unbelievable phenomenon in Minnesota that we handle shutdowns by demanding a state bailout.
These are very distressing times right now.
Right.
And I understand that. All too well.
All due respect and all deference paid to those who are sacrificing, but it's really, really unusual for an industry to handle a shutdown so regularly by demanding that the state bail out.
Manny, I want you to understand something else too that happens in the meantime. You've created, not you personally, but over the generations here of mining, the layoff, the starvation and glut character of this industry has created a culture that becomes very beholden, unusually and unreasonably beholden to the mining companies.
Yeah, we talked.
So when you get into these conferences like we had last September over in Virginia, where my brothers and sisters in the union went up to the microphone and stood and spoke in on behalf of the mining companies, that hurts my heart. These guys have a boat. They've got a Vexilar and a power auger. They take their kids fishing
and a cabin and a lake place,
to the parks and stuff like that. And they just do not want to accept that what we are doing here right now, legally and with permits, with no enforcement, is toxic and it's hurting people. Right. I mean, why that study? That's another obvious question. Why that study was quit? But when you understand that copper nickel mining is probably 40 to 100 times or maybe more toxic than taconite mining, this is taconite mining that exists here. We don't know what that other stuff can do. Generally speaking, people on the Iron Range here don't even know or don't want to know what we're doing. You know, what is actually literally happening out there in tons of sulfates going down these rivers into these all three watersheds.
Right. That's an excellent point. I'm also really heartbroken that the group that has historically been able to push back against with great success. In fact, I'd say the labor unions in the United States are the only entity that has ever successfully held back corporate power and corporate overreach. That they are capitulating in a really, really pathetic way. It's heartbreaking.
Well, the facts are that in the 1970s there were 150 blast furnaces running in the country, and we're now operating 7. 150 down to 7. So the Iron Range has been going through this deconstruction all the life of it that it's here. And now we're faced with shifting technology to electric arc furnaces. Things are changing. And so the technology has to change. The iron nugget plant that was built at Keetac, for instance, North Shore makes iron nuggets. The new SR, the Misabi Metallics, they're going to be making iron nuggets. So the standard acid pellet that's been used in blast furnaces for 50 years is a dinosaur. And so we're in a big shift right now. It's going to require lots of capitalization. And depending on how stable the steel market is, and it's never been stable, these are really precarious times, and a lot of people are really concerned about it. And I understand that. I really feel that.
What's capitalization?
Well, like for instance, it takes something like $750,000 of capital money to provide one job in mining, where in manufacturing it might be $20,000 or $30,000, or depending.
Because you have to build out infrastructure.
Well, yeah. Well, they're huge trucks that cost $3 million a piece and things like that.
There. Yeah.
I can describe it for you a little bit, Manny. Back in the late 60s and early 70s, we converted red ore mines here into taconite ore. The red ore was running out. Excuse me. And we had to start extracting iron from a far lower grade mineral called taconite. And these mines some of them had to take all the mills out, put new mills in, complete conversion of the whole. That's capitalization. It takes lots of money to do that.
No, okay.
And it doesn't return. It's like got a 10-year return instead of a year and a half or something like Wall Street likes.
Like building haul roads in a mine pit, just as an example, doesn't pay out. Like you're not. Maybe that's a bad example, but I mean it's a big cost to operating that you have to input.
Well, it pays in production.
Okay, so bad example, but you have to build maybe like shipping infrastructure that we've docks,
railroads.
Railroads. Those don't really pay out. They're just a background cost.
Right, it baked into the cost.
Am I belaboring the point too much? I have to figure out why our frame rate is too low. Maybe I should
I'm not
pause
sure
this.
we've answered your question.
Can I stop the recording just for 1 second?
Let's go. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so we're back. Okay. So we've been.
Well, so bringing up the subject of additional costs to the taconite mines, like clean up your water or something like that, is like, God, it's already just barely running anyway. Mm-hmm. The concern is that, at least from my viewpoint, now that I've studied how many tons per year of sulfates are coming out of this place, is that, oh my God, here's what's going to happen. All these mining companies that are here now are going to wiggle out of the legacy costs of cleanup and leave us with a big mess of pour over coffee filter tailings ponds that are going to leak out sulfates for
ever.
So this is the final puzzle piece of I think the Iron Range future is the end of mining. And I know that there's a lot of people that are going to bristle.
I was just gonna
because mines don't last forever.
Well, and the economic conditions are always evolving or changing,
Right.
from blast furnaces to electric arc, from just import tariffs and all this other stuff that happen.
So it seems that, to me, that the Staubers of the group, of the world, believe that they can perpetuate. They can continue the Minnesota that we have today, which is sort of this long established mining culture, by just starting up different kinds of mines and copper nickel mines. And that view misses a really important part about mining, which is that it's a full circle of opening the mine, operating it, winding it down, and then ultimately closing the mine. And why would you need to close the mine? Well, that's why we're talking about tailings and everything here. Is if you don't mitigate these effects of changing the landscape, you're going to end up with a Superfund site.
If you were to not address these issues while a mine is functioning,
Right.
you come to a point of no return where the mining companies are going to look at each other and says, "I'm the hell out of here. Are you coming?" And they go, and here we are with an uninhabitable area.
Right. And
It's not inconceivable that this area could be uninhabitable with the types of poisoning that's going on through mercury and methylated mercury around here,
and
due to the sulfates.
And that's not a hypothetical. That's actually happened. That's the way. Can you tell me which mines have enacted their shutdown procedure and plan on the Iron Range? Is it a goose egg? Oh,
Right.
Niet, I think is a.
every single mine,
was listening.
every single mine on the Iron Range has ended by filing bankruptcy.
Well,
What does that tell you? Just
but
like
this-
Trump.
It tells you that they're able to get away with it,
right?
Yeah.
and that's the method that they've chosen.
So they're not held to compliance while they're operating, and then they just say, "Well, we're done."
Right.
And
And I'd like to bring up another issue about this. This isn't something that just affects, like this holding them in compliance. This regulation isn't just an environmental issue. Personally, to me, I feel like that this is a 100% a labor issue, because if you say something like we're going to have jobs because of these mines, and then you don't offer any specifics of how you are going to compel the mining corporation to provide those jobs, then what could possibly motivate a corporation to provide the hundreds or so jobs that you're claiming that are going to be there? It's not automatic. I mean, those are costs, and there's every incentive for a mining operation to avoid doing that, or to have outside hires, or to hire from within their company. I mean, creating jobs is a capital is capitalization that we're talking about.
so the way that the way this works is the mine planner, that'd be me, looks at this ore body model and looks for the high grade zone and the fastest payback, because you got to borrow all this money. And so you're going to mine the highest grade nugget out of your entire reserve as quickly as possible to get your returns up. What that leaves you next is an ocean of low grade ore that requires higher costs for milling, because you've just got to grind a lot more. And the disposal of the tailings is a much larger challenge. And all these things are really important because they all leave a large footprint for legacy of costs and responsibility.
You just said a lot in a single sentence. I mean, that's a lot of what you just said. You get what he said at all, Manny? Like what he explained is like these like insider technical terms. So it's important to kind of break it down a hair here. When you propose a mining project, you're looking at you're gonna say something to your shareholders that is, that really paints you in a favorable light, like it's the richest ore body in the world, right? Yeah. And then you're gonna pull out these magical core samples that show all this glistening, metal in it, and they're just, if you're a geologist, you're just drooling
Gold,
at it.
gold
And
fever.
Brian, what's his name at the down
Golden.
at Talon? He's got that belt buckle that he's like, I made these gold. Of course, yeah. And there's a lot of bravado there. And then you're also saying something to the public like, oh, no, it's just a little thing. It's just a little postage stamp. Just a little guy, don't worry about it. It's
Only
guy.
20 acres.
Yeah, 225 acres.
And then there's another entity, and that's the operators that are planning and deciding how to do this. And they're looking at how much is it going to cost to get the ore out?
That'd be me.
Yeah. And so you're always going to look, this is the most important part about mining, is the flux of cost versus profit. Is you're going to find every way to get the ore out as cheaply as possible.
And as quickly as.
Yeah. And so if you're trying to maximize your profits, you're going to go and you're going to high grade your target.
Stuff.
Yeah, you're going to go get the
least stripping.
You're going to drill a hole directly to the richest stuff, the purest nugget of material out of there, and you're going to extract that and put it on the market, make your money. And then what's left over is a mine that's permitted that may not be worth operating anymore because you're
then you go through this amended
the market does this, and so you're dealing with economic issues, and maybe you're selling the mine, and there's lots of buyers that want to operate a permitted mine, but what's left for them is ore extraction that is lower grade, and you're not going to be able to use that value out of that ore to offset the costs if they're higher of operating, and the things that make extracting the ore more costly are like environmental mitigation, like now the EPA is requiring you to put scrubbers on your stacks, and you're supposed to have liners and tailings mitigation, right? But you don't have the money to pay for that because the ore isn't that good anymore because it's been high graded, and now you're like, if you're an Iron Range corporation, you're going to throw your hands up and say, I guess we'll just go bankrupt.
And then we'll sell you to the Japanese or somebody else offshore.
And that terrifies the people that work and live here.
Oh my God.
And it makes them cling to these mining companies even tighter.
Right?
Yeah, that's what it seems like is going on.
Yeah. That's very upsetting because it's pure extortion and pure manipulation.
When you are looking at the most crazy to think that this was once the most pristine area in possibly in North America, but
pre-logging.
Right now, you've got the Superior National Forest. We're running tailings right through that.
Yeah,
sulfates right through the boundary waters. Sulfates right through Voyageurs National Park, down the Mississippi into Lake Superior. All three watersheds right now, but people are reluctant to accept.
Yeah, this is another thing that we heard at that meeting. The people say, oh, the walleye fishing is great and there's plenty of wild rice, and yeah, there's days where it's good, and there's people that know what they're doing that can go catch keepers on a regular basis out deep or whatever, like on Big Bay and Lake Vermilion, and yeah, there's places you can go to get good wild rice, but the reality of it is people get skunked all the time. A lot of these lakes, the fishing sucks, and there's a lot of places where, especially recently, where the wild rice, it just hasn't been that good. So yeah, I think a lot of people are in denial too,
Not to bring up another topic, but I know that they're in denial about invasive species too.
Well, and PFAS and micro.
But I mean, when you're talking about walleye or fishing quality and abundance, invasive species have a huge amount to do with that. And if we're not,
that's another thing.
Yeah, if we're as a state not managing that, and making sure that there's money available to mitigate invasive species, we're going to be really in trouble.
I guess my point is, we've already done so much damage to our environment.
Yeah.
And the people that have always typically been concerned about the environment are warning us how bad this copper nickel mining will be. And you'd think, shouldn't we finally listen to them? you know. But I
No.
guess this gets to the bigger, kind of back to my other point, which is I think the solution to my question is it would be great to have my friend on the podcast, because people also do want to think, or when I hear his perspective, he makes me think like, yeah, we do have to care about our environment, but we should also make sure that to prove how detrimental the copper nickel mining will be, because it's like, oh well, maybe we stupidly introduced these like muskies to Lake Vermilion that eat a bunch of walleye that when they're not native, but that doesn't mean that maybe copper nickel mining would be okay. So we really have to address these things,
So his perspective,
case by case.
His perspective is that there's a little bit too much hysteria on the opposition of mining side, and there should be more careful examination. Is that kind of the idea?
I think so, kind of, but I also, again, he might not be aware of, or might not agree with. I don't know which one. More likely, just doesn't study this stuff as much as you guys. The ground that it can, because like I was saying, he was saying the fear is that it would go up over the 100-inch thing, but you guys are saying
that's a rare event,
right? It has nothing to do with that, and then it's just the groundwater. So, long story short, I think it would be great for him to come on the podcast.
So,
That's a good point.
I want to go back to what you were saying, because you said there were two things.
Yes.
And we got to one of them. So what's the other one?
No, perfect timing. That was a good discussion of the first one. So the other one kind
It's
of
a little winding path. We had to wear or get new shoes. On that journey. Anyway.
Yeah, my Crocs, like the grip is like gone on them because I always just wear them all the time. I'm wearing shoes now because I don't know. But anyway, this is important. Not that I don't wear Crocs when,
every candidate should wear Crocs at least once in their career.
Yeah.
On the Senate floor. All right, sorry.
No, it makes sure my feet don't smell. Anyway, or sweat.
Vote for Manny.
But yeah. So something that kind of made me think, maybe there is something to what my friend Rob is saying is, so there's this company, I guess, called Talon Metals that down in McGregor, maybe like 30 miles west of Cloquet, that they want to do a copper nickel mine. And this is a little shout out. There's a little tribe, Indian reservation that's south of there a little bit, called Sandy Lake Reservation. They're not federally recognized. I initially thought they were part of Mille Lacs, but they're actually not. And them trying to get sovereignty the path to them getting federally recognized might come through agreeing to the copper nickel mine being there. I don't know. I'm not really saying this all, but it's something that I heard about, so I just wanted to shout that out to Sandy Lake Res. Anyway, so I watched Mike when you and I met last summer. You said, be careful because a lot of these companies will try to make you think it's okay. There's the PR is a big part of it. But I watched the video on the Talon Metals website, and these people, they look like liberals, or like they look like environmentalists saying we know how to, in the bog. Like genuinely, they look like really smart, educated people that care about the environment, that feel like they've come up with this unique way to extract the copper nickel from the mine. And they don't show like what they're doing, but like you said, they should have this beautiful little rod of the perfect copper nickel. And I was a little bit convinced. I'm like, well, maybe they do know how to do it, So I just want to give you guys, I don't know how you can respond to that other than, no, we've already proven what happens. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, I used to be that guy. That was me.
Which guy?
The one that thought mining was glamorous.
This guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy. Yeah. And there's my award.
There is something exciting about just digging the money out of the ground.
Oh, shoot, yeah. I'd give my eye teeth if I was younger and I could go work on this project.
Here's one of those Talon core samples.
So what's the answer? It was what you're asking a question, right? So what their intention is to get a permit to mine this high grade nugget, the
Right.
best stuff, the easiest to get. It's the least amount of you can get there quickest, right?
Let me see if I can.
So
I'm going to try to do this.
the way permitting works in Minnesota is that this is how you get a mine permit. You do something that's a relatively small project. It looks like it's going to be easily contained and not really affect anything. And you kind of went away with that. It shouldn't be a problem. It looks like you got all the answers there, right? And it looks pretty. The people are there from Aiken, and then they're out. They don't look like foreigners, you know. So what's the big problem, right? So the big problem is that they've been drilling there for quite a while, and they've discovered a trend that's like 12 to 14 miles long. And internally in the company, they call it a mining district. So it's not just one little nugget. Now they're talking about putting in a mill with tailings ponds and possibly a smelter to refine this stuff so you don't have to haul concentrate all over the place. So it's not what initially start with, it's how this permitting process works in Minnesota is that once you get a permit to start, you can pretty much just get it amended. Like we just drilled and found some more ore, so we're going to dig over there. Is that okay? Yeah, sure. Keep going. Right. So that's how it works. So the end effect is that you have this enormous environmental footprint from tailings ponds, from a much larger. Well, you're not underground anymore. You're going to sink a pit that's 1,200 feet deep. That's what we did at Hale, is 1,200 feet deep. That's a lot different than one little decline and going after one small nugget that you can haul out to North Dakota and nobody notices.
You're helping me start to see this now, because I'm thinking, like, so anyway, this area that it's part of, this north of there, it's part of this huge bog. And when people say, "Oh, people come from all over to go to the Boundary Waters," bird watchers come from all over to go to Sac Zim Bog, which is near there. So this is another critical area, you know. And you're saying it's not just going to be down, and one like little pet project. It's going to expand, and it's making me think the same thing as the Boundary Waters. Why would we? It's because why would we want to do anything there? And it's because. Well, sorry, I'm trying to kind of organize my thoughts, but it's not just like one little thing is necessarily going to leak. It's going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger across the whole bog, and that's the whole thing. Those people, they prioritize the wealth and you know what they can get out of it over the pristine. I guess I don't know the health of the bog. And
I think what you're trying to say is there's an extractive economy versus an additive economy. Is it kind of what you're talking about? Like there's capitalism here. Like we should be able to go and get the minerals out of the ground because that's money for everybody. We can, right? At the same time, there's a cost you have to offset, which is the people who enjoy that area, the Zach Zim Bog and the larger surrounding area are really they really honor that uniqueness of Minnesota. That ecosystem is really, really important.
Yeah, and also, I guess, that's the general point. But
so it looks really positive, right?
Yeah,
So that's how you sell the project. It's working. Because I really liked seeing what they were doing too. I'm very familiar with working underground and how to sink it. I know how to do all this stuff. So the biggest problem is that we have to go back to this regional study and look at how is copper nickel going to be mined in Minnesota on the scale of the Iron Range. And where are the smelters going to be put? And where are you going to deal with these enormous, great big stacks of leaking copper nickel tailings? because you can only recover about 85%, something like that. So the rest of it's out there percolating in perpetuity. The issue is that if we don't look at the entire picture carefully, one little project doesn't look like a big problem. And that's kind of what we're looking at the metallic wasabi.
The Talon metals.
Talon.
I guess
Yeah.
what I was taking from what you were originally saying is, it's going to expand. So while I'm picturing it small, it's going to be this huge operation across the whole bog, which is bad. That's what I was thinking. Is that the gist of it, or is it also the fact that no matter really how big it is, it's going to leach out into the whole bog, contaminating the environment, and that there's... Do you think they have a point that they'll be able to contain it, or do you think that's bullshit? Or
I got the perfect
you're making
answer
a really
for
good
you.
it's a very good question.
So the point is, let's examine.
I think we're here. The big question.
Yeah.
I'm ready to
So
listen.
we're going to examine what has taconite mining done for 50 years, and we've really never looked at it because we always look at this creeping mission of just, we need some more ore for the next 5 years and we'll just move the highway, and then it's not a big deal because we just make the tailing spot a little bigger. So the net effect is that there's 10,000 tons of sulfate going down the St. Louis River. There's 10,000 12,000 tons of sulfate going up to Lake of the Woods. And right now there's about 1,800 tons going down the Mississippi River every year. Now, what's that do? It preloads the entire environment of sulfates.
Yeah.
And we've got laboratory quality data to look at all this stuff. And we're not looking at it. And the problem is that all these statements are thrown out about, we do mining right and it's our way of life and all this stuff. But nobody's looked at the data. And I'm stupefied that I keep being told, nobody's ever done this before except Chris Baldwin. And it's like, God, you got to be kidding. Nobody's really looked at how much is leaking out and sat down with a spreadsheet and added all this stuff up.
So there's two things here. One is we can see in the results of the stuff that's in the water that somehow this stuff is getting in here. You guys have proven that. Then the other part is, how does it get in there? I remember, Mike, in the last episode, you were talking about how the sulfates interact with the bacteria, creating mercury. Yeah. Have you completely proven that too? Like, there's no way y'all will do the copper nickel mining safely, just based on in the lab how this works. Are you guys have as much data on that, or is that a little bit more needs to be proven?
The intention right now is to use the same taconite tailings reservoirs that are existent to put the tailings, the copper nickel tailings on. Yeah. And we already know that these things are failing horribly. If we get a chance to go through the pictures.
Do you want to pull some of those up?
That we're kind of dancing around the subject.
I know. It's because we keep changing. Let's talk about this for 1 second. So this is a diagram. I forget where I found it. And it shows a pretty good example of how this happens, of what's going on here. So we see there's a process plant with cute little smokestacks. And then there's a line here that says pond reclaim. There's another one that goes the other direction. So this is how this is how mining works. There's one little exception that's different here than from what we have on the Iron Range, which is this second pond. And you see there's an arrow down here. I'm using my cursor to show this captured seepage, right? And that doesn't happen on the Iron Range.
We don't do that here.
But when we're talking about all the tailings ponds leak, what we're talking about is that they seep underneath because they're all built on top of that Zach Zim bog.
Existing soil, whatever was there.
Or beneath that is... Especially on the west end of the range, it's like 500 feet of glacial till. Yeah. So it's sand, gravel, boulders. It's very porous rock, very porous material. It's not rock. It's 500 feet in the deepest part from. We're in a tuberculosis ward here, so we have a little TB going on.
It's all look at smoke.
So this seepage underneath the
dike or the dam, whatever you want to call it.
It goes really far downstream. Okay, so that's one diagram. Here's a second one that kind of shows this a little bit, maybe in a different way.
What is that? Edina there, right where the arrow is?
No, this is another cross section of a dam and a tailings pond. So a large part of the pond is made up of this slurry. You can see the little arrow shows.
You just make do you have a picture of this or something?
So then this red arrow shows how unless this red arrow, if this is not allowed to seep below the dam, the pond will fill up, and then it will spill over the top and collapse.
Or the dam wall that retains it will become saturated and just go.
Wait, can you go back for a quick?
Oh yeah.
I just want to envision that. Say that again, please.
Andy. If the dam gets saturated, it'll collapse.
Yep. Right. So if this red arrow, if this is not allowed to seep, if this doesn't if water doesn't go out from underneath, then this would eventually just fill up.
The seeping's inevitable.
Yeah,
so and the pond's almost like an excuse.
Well, it's a cheap way to do it.
It's how it's designed. That the normal way to do this is that in this diagram you see there's a secondary pond here that captures the seepage, right? That is the way that it's intended to work. And when you look at tailings operations globally, usually they have a secondary capture.
So that was one of our ideas, just to put them on what we got now.
This being a cross section, that would be a literal canal all the way around the basin.
Yeah, it would like a moat.
So it's not a single pond catching this stuff in one place. And just before we travel too much farther, Chris, describe the hydraulic effect of the height of water in these. Like the one I was at was 110 feet. That's the mine that I worked at. And they periodically get permits to go higher.
Can you get a picture?
Yeah. Hang on.
So
okay, here's my favorite picture. This is
No, we want to go to the other one.
No, it is okay. Which one?
The photo of Forbes.
Oh, okay, Forbes. That's Mintech.
That's it. Yeah.
Menorca.
Keep going. That's
up or down?
Up.
Embarrass. Forbes.
It's one of the first
LTV.
ones.
Oh, okay. That's not that one.
That's there we go.
It is. That's one of them.
So the height of that, where that grassy knoll is,
everybody wait. Okay, there we go. So here's
165 feet.
Yeah, right here. This is 165 feet high from here to here.
Holy.
The hydraulic pressure is about a half a psi per foot, right? So down underneath, under that, there's 80 psi of water pressure pushing this stuff out.
So if that was an artesian well, it would be shooting straight out.
So what it does is it comes out and you see these vegetative indicators of flow.
Yeah,
right?
these brown spots.
Is that starting to sink in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is an aerial photo of Forbes, and all the tailings ponds look like this.
So here's a good example of how.
That one pumps it back.
Yeah, it says a catchment pond. It's usually at the corner of but in the background is Lake Superior, Yeah. So, go ahead.
I guess this is starting to, I'm starting to envision a long-term, so there's either one of two things. One is the stuff just seeps out and it sucks, or I guess the ponds just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, they do expansions.
Like you were saying, so it's like eventually we're going to have to change our way of life somehow, because either way, I'm not faulting us for trying, as humans experimenting.
We do mining, right?
And using the whatever materials to create great things. But if we want to survive as a species, eventually we're going to have to maybe change the way we do things. Because what I'm seeing is either the stuff just seeps into the water because the pond isn't reinforced right, and it contaminates everything, or the ponds just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, which is better than it seeping into the water.
It makes, when you make the pond bigger, the way that they've done this here on the Iron Range is by they don't make it bigger around. They make it bigger taller. Yeah, right. And the dog just
Which increases the hydraulic push.
yeah. So you're going to end up with more hydraulic pressure, and that means that water seeping from below is going to seep and travel further out.
Right. Which I guess, I mean, in some way you're saving woodlands by not expanding it, so it's kind of like a...
At the offset of making sure that your groundwater travels further. I mean,
So
that's the problem you're trying to mitigate, and you're causing it directly.
yeah.
I got to show you my favorite diagram from this paper that now I'm sure at this point everyone's all sick of me doing this.
That's the
But
Where's
Hell
the
no, we're only just getting started because this is the nitty gritty.
I love this paper. This is everyone can go home and look this up from the USGS hydrologic change. And it's
You know, I hate to. This is totally, but
Yeah.
it looks like a picture I saw on Google Maps of the pollution of copper nickel mining. This huge green nasty thing.
Yeah, it kind of
So,
does. I mean, but this is one of those like someone spent hours and hours creating this map, and they're really proud of it, so they put it on the cover. So what this paper is just an explanation of the hydrology of the Iron Range, and it shows in a couple of diagrams some really cool things. So here's the map of the Iron Range. Here's a puppy. Okay, so there's the Iron Range, and this is a little. So you asked a question, Manny. It's a really good question before. Is the Iron Range, for those who aren't here or don't live here, it is a ridge of higher elevation. So this is just because the rock is harder and everything else is eroded away. And then below, south of the Iron Range, is that giant Zak-Zim bog area, and then to the east, the topsoil gets really thin, and you get into those rocky Northwoods lakes.
Yeah, and Saxon Bog is just one area it's a huge bog, like 100 miles
Right.
all the way down to Mille Lacs.
Actually, yeah, it represents the largest unbroken peat land south of outside of Siberia.
That's crazy, even
Yeah.
bigger than Red Lake peatland. It's
I
in central
think
Minnesota.
that those together represent the largest.
I see.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
they're related, and the fact that we have peatlands in Minnesota, like in Siberia or Scotland, right? It's really significant because ecologically they represent some of the most efficient carbon sequestering ecosystems that we have if we're talking about climate change. So just to throw that out there is any claim that we got a low frame rate. Okay, any claim that we're trying to do something destructive to these bog peatlands in the name of mitigating climate change is like, okay, but you can't improve on what we already have. Okay, this is a diagram that shows the depth of the glacial till. So the darker area is the really deep stuff, right? And then the little key down here says 537 feet on the west end of the range of glacial till. So the point of saying that is that this is really, really water moves through it really easily. It's just sand. There's some more maps that are cool, but my favorite coming up here is this one. No, not that one. That one.
So the deeper or the shallower stuff lets the water go and
well, it's all. Good question.
flow through it quicker.
I think that the point is that it's all. Where did that map go?
There's the till is everywhere.
Is that it's not soil, it's not topsoil, and it's not clay, and it's not it's really, really porous for water.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's the best map coming up here. We got that one. Okay, not that one. Okay, sorry. Okay, here it is. Ready? Are you ready for this? Ready? This is a cross section of the Iron Range. So this beautiful diagram shows the cross section of the Iron Range. There's the west and the east, and then right here in the center is a label that says Virginia. And this is the elevation, and it's exaggerated a little so you can kind of tell. And it's really, really cool diagram because it shows the highest point over here to the right or to the east of Virginia. That's the Laurentian Divide, and it's almost 1,800 feet above sea level. But then in this diagram, it shows a tailings basin right there. And what the red arrows are indicating is the distance that groundwater flows. So on the east end of the range,
Very good to know.
there's a big long arrow right? Goes from the high elevation down lower.
Yeah.
And the scale on this is 14 miles. So that's almost a 30-mile trip that groundwater can flow. So when we talk about tailings ponds leaking, what we're talking about is that they all leak from underneath. They all drain underground. And the height of the elevation, the Iron Range is high in elevation. And the fact that all the tailings ponds are built on above ground, right? They're not in the ground. They're all means that all of these things contribute to hydraulic pressure, so that the water is pushed into the ground and it flows a really long ways. And that's the point of this diagram.
Lakes or whatever.
Oh, I mean that's how you fill up a tailings pond. Yeah.
My point is that just drilling and blasting the ore that we haul out to the mine or to the crusher. If you stop pumping that water out of there, it'll fill the whole mine up.
See, there's a blast there, and when it was being drilled, there was water in it. And when you blow it up, it's not. Now it's got a lot of surface area to react with, right?
So right here. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, my
multitasking.
But some of these lakes get enough for them to stock non-indigenous fish in there. How long after does it become like enough ground, the tailings seep away that the lake becomes, which is bad, that the lake becomes
they do it immediately.
It doesn't take very long.
Yeah, so
the birds bring in.
Oh no,
eggs.
no, they stock like in
the pit at Keetac.
Yeah, well, they come in through.
There were fish in there.
Yeah, but they come in through any stream or anything.
Well, most of it's stocked non-native, like rainbow trout.
Yeah, those are always stocked. But you can always stock those. I mean, like rainbow trout live anywhere.
So those fish will be like super high in mercury.
Okay, so this is what's important, and this is kind of what I went, is that the mercury is a downstream phenomenon. Because it's a consequence of bacterial activity. And think like when, you ever made bread?
No.
Oh, man.
And concentration.
Someone's made bread though, right? Like you have to feed the yeast in order to get it to rise, and you feed the yeast with sugar. You're feeding the bacteria the methylmercury,
and the sulfates are like fertilizer.
So the sulfates are feeding the bacteria, and so that takes time. And what that means is that the further downstream you get from the tailings, from the point source, the longer that the bacteria has had a chance to act and create methylmercury.
Good you're explaining that, because somebody would say something to me. What do you mean that even the tailings ponds have fish in them? And I'd be like, what the fuck? Maybe these guys are all just way too concerned. So thank you for explaining.
That. I know it's like one of those, like there's a little bit more to understand about how it works, and I think about it in terms of like when I was in school in my undergrad and in the microbiology class, learning how to culture bacteria on a petri dish, the things that we had to do, or why'd you Taylor Green a peach tree dish? The things you had to do to make the bacteria grow were, like you had to feed it, keep it out of the sun, keep it warm, and that happens in the environment too. You have, in this case, we have methylating bacteria, and you need to, in some cases, not all, you need to keep it out of the oxygen or keep oxygen away from it. Some bacteria can methylate mercury in oxygenated environments. I don't know if anyone can see these two little eyes right under the table here. Hold on.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So the issue with copper nickel is that there's a higher level of
she wanted to eat a piece of rawhide
of sulfite minerals, right?
Yeah.
And so some of the sulfite minerals, besides iron pyrite, which is fool's gold, which is generally the most prevalent in taconite, is pyrrhotite. And pyrrhotite is another form of iron pyrite, but it's highly reactive. And my first experience with it at Hale Gold Mine was startling that in one weekend, all the water at the bottom of the pit turned blood red, just like somebody had killed a pig or something like that. And that was phenomenal for me to experience that. And people in Minnesota have never seen this stuff before. So unless you've not only seen it, but I was the technical services superintendent. I was in charge of all the people that take charge of making it all work. Unless you've done that and your only experience is taconite mining in Minnesota, now we're going to switch to copper nickel, but it's a totally different beast. And there are special circumstances that we can see now that already are starting to become alarming. And that would be the Dunker River and the North Shore Mine that has stripped some of this Duluth complex, or rather the Virginia Formation.
So, to interrupt, I want to make sure that we were on a common thread here let's just say talking to a hypothetical voter and answering questions about potential mining, in kind of answering someone who's a fatalist perspective. I guess I understand that.
What I would say, I'm just trying to understand all this, and I want you to all understand this, and that's so I don't need to tell the vote. Just listen to this conversation. I'm trying to learn. So
Don't listen to me.
What Chris is saying, is everything in this conversation is helping educate me. I guess the next thing that I was thinking is how when they first start a mine, do they do the mine and then they build the tailings basin?
Ooh,
Or
good
then
question.
and then when they ditch this mine, they use it as the next tailings base. Is that what? Because you say it fills up with water, so how do the
Let's
tailing,
walk through this. This is I'm gonna go to this. Does that say Talon nickel?
Yep.
It sure does. When was that drilled? 2025.
Yep.
That's an 1,100 deep hole, or 1,100
February.
foot deep hole. Yeah. Okay. So that's a long ways away. That's a long ways away from where they're planning on having their pit. And when you keep going up here, there's if they're low, there's even more up here. The point I'm trying to make is that this outlines what could become a mining district, and that's where you jump in.
Right. Well, it was the whole point of doing a regional study, is to, all right, so let's say we do mine all this stuff, and they've got drill data that does indicate there's 8 to 10 billion tons of copper nickel ore. How are you going to manage this, and where's everything going to be? And it can't just be a hibbity little project here and there that just expands a little at a time. We will end up with smelters and tailings ponds and mills, and that's the magnitude of the size of what's in front of us. Really needs to be examined, like they did in the 70s, with the data that now that we've charged this entire environment ecosystem with sulfates from taconite mining.
So like the Iron Range is a long string of pits and
mills and tailings.
Yeah.
Yep.
That a copper nickel deposit isn't ever going to stay a small little single operation, and any claims that it would are just a bad faith lie.
Well, he wanted to see a map of all the copper nickel deposits, and I don't remember if we have a slide of that
In the world?
Well, no, just there on the range.
This would be a good.
Do I?
This would be a good time to point out that when you see all the taconite piles of waste rock and tailings reservoirs all over northeastern Minnesota here now, you're looking at a ore body that contained about 5% iron. Some of the old red ore dumps had a higher percentage of ore in them. Some of them you could actually weld the rocks. But what we're talking about here with the copper nickel mining down in the Talon area, it's about a third of that. So you're going to have significantly larger volumes of waste there than mineral that you're seeking.
Down in the bog.
Right. What is it, about 1% to maybe 3% copper and nickel, the material you're driving for, whereas with taconite it's somewhere around 5 or 6%.
Right.
Okay, so you're going to have significantly more tailings.
So so what that means, the tailings in the waste is still sulfide rock. So you have to put it somewhere. And when you know, unless you're covering it up from the rain, it's going to get wet and seep, you know, if it's in a
Battery
pile,
acid.
right?
I got a question just for my own understanding. Can you go back to the Google map?
Yeah. I'm going to go to the Google map.
Thank you.
Here's the Google
Can you
map.
zoom in on the big old Chisholm, between Hibbing and Chisholm?
Yeah, right here.
So I see the huge tailing. How does it get from one to the other? That's what is it? Do they like pipe it underground or
Oh no, there's an above ground pipe.
so it's like a stream?
Yeah. Well, it's a big, like 20-inch diameter stream. How big is the? In
Well,
this area?
we use 20-inch pipes over
20?
where I came
Okay,
from.
I mean-
And this is when they're digging, the groundwater comes up, and then they put it.
Oh no, there's just a pump in the bottom. Show them your lock screen on your phone.
Or there's some water comes out of the mining. and
Yeah,
then it
yeah,
goes
yeah.
to the-
There's that's a 300 horse pump.
Yeah, so your big, you know, effort you've spent,
In
you
the
know,
pit.
yeah, down at Hale was running these huge pumps, you know, and so you have one on your
Well,
lock screen.
you pump about 300 feet up, and then the next pump
Yeah.
has to take it again. So you have to put in these
Yeah.
frac tanks and all that stuff. It's a pain in the butt.
So
Anyway, that's for another.
we've been hanging out talking forever. Let's get to a point.
Okay,
A point.
yes.
Yeah.
Have we hit any points yet?
Well, we went shot way past 7 o'clock.
Yeah. Well,
And I'm getting to the education, which is a major point.
I just want to go back to one of the places that we started. And in all these discussions, you talk about values and wealth. And my point is money is far from the most important thing that gives humanity wealth.
Yeah, it's just
That's my point.
Yeah.
And community, family, all that stuff is part of it, and the ability to recreate and to have resources such as something so essential as water. Why would you sacrifice your water for any reason? For any reason?
Next time you're thirsty, think about that.
Yeah.
What's really going to happen without water?
Not to mention the health issues with babies and mercury
Dying
poisoning.
CDs.
so let me just devil's advocate that and hear your response. But jobs. I mean,
I got jobs.
okay, talk.
Jobs are reclamation. Jobs are curing this problem.
Well, but who's going to pay for those?
I got it. So the big thing is right now we're relying on these companies, foreign companies. Please bring us jobs. Invest your big money in the mine. We can take that money through taxation. I would tax all wealth over $1 billion at 100%, and the people that are 100 millionaires or whatever
You radical, you.
is still going to be 50% or more. You know, which would make it so all 99% of the population taxes stay the same, if not or lower. But we can use that money to put ourselves to work. You know, building hospitals, building roads, building bridges, and we would be in charge of that. Instead, maybe we would contract people out, but we wouldn't let the mines like what's happening now. The few people that own the mines,
Especially foreign.
yeah, exactly. So we could build and do all this stuff, but we could do it in the way that these guys are all talking about, in a more sustainable, safer way. You know, so that's a big part of what we're going to need to improve the country is changing our taxation system. But I know Mike also talks about the cleaning up the all the mess we've made, and we
Yeah.
can put a lot of people to work doing that.
I mean, we're already creating a terrible mess that needs to be it has to be fixed.
Amen
Right.
to that.
There's, when you talk about people that are afraid that we're going to chase jobs out of here, close the mines down, that's absurd. We cannot stop mining because these companies will, en masse, evacuate. They'll leave us with the mess of our
Well,
own. So.
in fact,
So-
that's kind of what U.S. Steel's already done.
Yeah.
They're owned by an offshore company now,
Yeah. So
Nippon.
the threat of retreat is always looming. Unlike this is anti-retreat right here. This is called infiltration by a golden retriever. So the threat of retreat by doing anything that's anti-business on the Iron Range is gonna make all of the money leave somehow, right? Can you counter that?
Yeah, well, we've had generations of threats that these big corporations will leave. How many have left so far? In your lifetime, or my parents' lifetime, or my ancestors' lifetime?
Well,
All
start
of them?
counting.
They all. I mean, which ones are left? I mean,
Well, all the natural ore mines.
No,
right.
I mean I'm talking
Right.
about corporations. If you're
Oh,
threatening taxation on corporations to scare them off,
Well, yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't work like that.
Two different things.
we have Target, 3M.
What Mike is saying is that all these billionaires threaten to go to another country, but America has the best taxation system for them. We're so lenient because, anyway, they're not going to leave the country. But what Andy's saying is that these mines will leave the area. The mines will leave the country. I think that's what we're saying.
Yeah. Thanks for summarizing that, because Mike and I were doing this.
Yeah.
I had a dog on me. Yeah. The dogs are getting antsy. Yeah. Good point. What
Yeah.
should we? We're never able to close these things out. Should we?
We are going to
sorry.
invite any other. Go ahead.
One more thing. Also, with this the foreign companies coming, we can't even tax them. So actually, Mike and Andy's
Good point.
points go together. So we can't, because we're allowing foreign companies in, we can't tax those individuals because they're from another country. But the people that so those people will leave. They'll ditch us. But what the other point is that those people will, they'll ditch us. But the people that are Americans that are billionaires, they're super rich, they won't ditch us. So we can have big business here that owned by American companies, and we can tax those people. And not only will they not leave, we won't have to worry about a foreign company coming in who will decide to leave.
So here's the story.
Try my best to explain.
Wall Street.
That was a good explanation.
Wall Street demands a certain return on capital that is measured in a few months. And mining, the return on capital investment there is in years. It could be up to 10 years.
Right.
And the psychology for American companies to make that long-term commitment, it just isn't there. There are very few American-owned companies that are willing to commit to these long-term investments. Now, look at some of the mines that are typically really big ones, like the ones that Rio Tinto and Freeport McMoran is one of the biggest mining companies in the world, and they can take their capital that they've recovered from these other mining projects and invest it in a 3 to 10 year recovery situation that American companies just aren't going to do that. Can you change that opportunity in America to be more conducive to these high capital? Well, that's kind of what happened with the taconite amendment to make taconite mining more practical, because we went from a low capitalization mining of hematite ores, which had 60 to 65% ore, to this magnetite ore in taconite, which is 20% mag iron. So it costs a lot more. The ore is a lot harder to grind. Everything's
Right.
expensive.
Yeah, the first time we had mills, and that's when we developed the Bessemer process. And
Well, it's the nature of mining,
Right.
that these foreign companies are
Right.
adept at handling much longer capital return.
what you're saying is that that was really the last time that we had any kind of that being the 1965 Tax Act, when we shifted from natural ore to taconite. And that was the last time there was a long-term looking infrastructure investment into an industry.
to reduce
Right.
the
And
expense.
the 1965 Tax Act really, to me, represents the reluctance of, even in 1965, the industry to have any investment at all, because what the Tax Act was a way to subsidize mining.
You're talking about the taconite tax.
Right, the tax. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm talking about the 1965 taconite tax, which was it was a shift from taxing mining companies based on the total volume of material moved to instead just the valuable part, just the ore that was moved. So in other words, they were claiming that they were paying way too much in taxes in order to mine the 20% concentrated taconite ore as opposed to the 60 or higher percent natural ore. So they wanted to pay less, and they were saying that we weren't going to be able to do it. We're not going to can't mine if it's too expensive. Can't mine if it's too expensive. So that we had to change we had to save mining because we do mining right. Anyway, that's to me. Everything in Minnesota started in 1965 with the Taconite Tax Act because the modern inception of mining as we see it now was when it started. And then we had LTV, and then we had LTV dumping tailings into Lake Superior, and then we had long history of every iteration of mining was a consequence of some sort of crisis that someone said, no, we can't do that. And the mine company said, oh, I guess we're done. And then they, no, don't walk away. We'll do it for you.
I guess one thing I want to bring this back to is, a big, the structure of the whole power structure within our country, it's the very, very few versus the very, very many. But at the end of the day, say it again.
I said TB ward.
TB ward was
tuberculosis ward up here.
Oh yes, yeah. yes. That's a very important part.
For those who are listening and not watching at home. Sorry about that.
No. But I guess my point is, even though that is an important part of the ball game, us holding those few people with all the power accountable, we're all in it together. We're all part of humanity. So it's not to demonize the few wealthy people in control. I guess what I want to say is, you're saying we were dumping our waste into Lake Superior. That's a choice that we made by not voting in people, not having people step up to say we're gonna have a country that doesn't operate in that way. So that the power really is in our hands. That's my closing.
I agree with you.
E pluribus unum.
The dog just. I got all the kids here now. I really agree with you. I think that what the next few years, especially 2025 and 26, are themed by is all hands on deck to resist corporate power in every way. And in Minnesota, it just happens that it's centered around mining. Just like you're saying, we have the power to.
Very good point.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Oh, thank you. A couple good points every now and then. But we have the power to make a decision. About how we're going to do this.
We have invited 2 out of the 3 other candidates for CD8, and I think we got a couple of them interested. There's a new candidate that just popped up here a couple of days ago. We'll be inviting him as well. Amazing. But we also extend the invitation to Representative Igo, Spencer Igo from.
Always
up by around Balsam Lake there,
and we'd have a great talk.
Yeah,
I'd love to hear an explanation of we know how much is here, and this is how we intend to treat it.
Roger Scraba this invite goes to anybody out there.
Have you guys talked to Aaron Kania?
No.
He's in 3A running. I'll tell him about this.
Oh, please do.
Yeah.
Tell him how much fun you had.
Yeah, because this is factual stuff. This isn't theoretic. This isn't the sky is falling. This is real.
Yeah.
So the one requirement for the NPDES permit is that the spirit of the law is that you examine every 5 years what your samples are and propose a plan to reduce your emissions. The idea is to keep reducing, and the NPDES permits that have been written by the MPCA for the EPA don't have any limits in it. But they do have this reporting requirement, And that's the gallows here. Their reporting is of laboratory quality of all these sample points of the discharges of the pipe. There's a mountain of data there, and I've been tapping into it. And I believe that the more people that understand what is there, they really got to muscle up to the table and take responsibility for it. Now we know what it's been doing for 50 years, and it's not like we're anti-mining, but holy smokes, this is a lot.
We also got to figure out why a couple of these mines stopped reporting that stuff.
Yeah, like
Just
Thunderbird. Yeah.
recently.
So let me ask you, Mr. Candidate, like, two things is that I think it's important to find ways to compel these missing data, like Mike just said, that they're required to report this sulfate limit or sulfate effluence. No, I mean, I'm trying to make this a statement into a question, but like that should happen, right? if you had any political power.
Yeah, absolutely.
The second question is, if your I don't want to say opponents, but those other candidates in the race with you, if they had this information that you now have, what do you think what would you like to hear them say about it?
I would just like them to do what I'm doing and sit here and learn and listen.
Doing a good job.
Thank you. That's all I would say. I mean, if I had to guess, I don't think it would really change much. I think the candidates are mostly focused on messaging. Like other candidates in the race, I've seen them focus more on the messaging the more that I put those policies front. Like there's a guy in our race that earlier on he was arguing against certain policies that are like wildly popular, and now I've seen him, and then another candidate similar, more really making clear where they stand on the policies. I think as my message has been resonating more. So I think they probably won't really change their messaging, but it would be good to educate them on all this. The question is whether or not they feel like it's worth it to take the time to listen, which I hope they would be, but I don't know.
Do you think there's room to adjust the messaging if they learn new information?
It's hard to say because I think most people don't look at politics the way I do. Most candidates, they look at it as they may have a very good, well-meaning vision for the world, but they look at it as this sort of like political game where even if they are good and honest people, they're more focused on how do we move to public opinion versus how we really gonna lead. And I think that's why I think I bring something unique to the table.
Yeah, I hear it.
Very good.
But I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. Maybe a couple of them would come on. I guess probably some of them might come on. The question is, are they really going to learn and listen, or are they just going to like speak to the screen to try to convince people what they already think is good, or try to like tell people what they want to hear? I don't know. It's yet to be seen. I'd be interested to see what candidates come on, if any.
What do you think are some of the like poison pill statements or policy positions in Minnesota that like you don't ever want to mention that or something, or it sinks your campaign?
I don't know. They say, "Oh, you can't be anything anti-mining, or you can't." But that's all just. I mean, nobody thought Trump would ever win, and he proved everybody wrong. So that's all just
pretty anti-union,
conventional wisdom,
kind of
fucking
wild
shit.
But just think how bold it would be if one of the mining companies said, "You know what? We recognize this stuff, and we see it, and we're going to ditch around it and pump it back." I mean, what the heck? That's responsibility. And what do we like about living in northern Minnesota? The lakes and the fishing. I mean, that's like number one reason why if this was in some other hibbity place, you wouldn't come here. It wouldn't be the same at all. So the big industries in Minnesota are northern Minnesota are the resorts, the lakeshore ownership, and medical community of mining. So can we all get together on this?
Good point. And, I think that, forget a political poison pill. I have a poison pill to the corporations, which is telling the truth. And corporations aren't people, They're
What?
They're these organizations that their only goal is profit, and people, I guess, they prioritize it. They let themselves get.
Are you trying to say that the corporations don't have our best interests?
Well, there's lots
mind?
of people in the corporation.
Yeah, but the main goal, typically, maybe not corporations, isn't it? But I guess I'm trying to artistically weave together, answer a bunch of points. But the point I was making earlier about let's not demonize the few at the top, even though at the same time it's their greed that's been causing the problems for most of us. That's one point I was trying to make. The other point I was trying to make was something about it. The poison pill to the stuff that's holding the people's best interest down is simply telling the truth. That's how I think we can bring everyone together to put candidates that are willing to tell the truth and not lead with whatever they think the population thinks beforehand is really what's gonna get us back in the game and get our country on the right track.
Do you think that? I think that the political landscape for a long time now, since maybe post-Nixon, has been all about focusing on what are we going to do to win elections at all costs, because you can't do anything if you don't hold power in legislation, whatever. Do you think that could change coming up here, that the idea that you have to compromise everything just to stay in power? Do you think that the next iteration of politics that we have is going to be, let's do things in our best interest?
To be honest, I don't. It's hard because on the one hand, I feel like I am, and I see these other young candidates stepping up that are really, really pure. They're really about telling the truth.
They're mad.
But at the same time, it doesn't really seem like, I don't know, it's a variety, I mean, there's been so much suffering throughout humankind. I would think that the most likely scenario is just people that want the power, that want to be politicians. And, some of that's just, I guess, throughout this race kind of become part of me.
Right.
It's really about the people holding them accountable. I think we'll see a lot more really truth-telling politicians like myself that are step up, probably more so than so I guess in a way, yes.
Yeah.
But it's not just going to be like all of a sudden we'll have all these honest people displacing the dishonest people, and that'll solve everything. No, just like the people in the corporations, which maybe the corporation could be good. People that get to the top become so infatuated by wanting more and more and more. The people that get into politics and they eventually become overrun by that wanting more and more and more, and it makes it so they stop telling the truth, I guess, because it stops being about the people and it becomes more about
who funds your campaign.
Right. So I think we do need truth tellers, like myself, to really come in and be those leaders in history that are a force of good. But at the same time, in general, it's always going to be up to the people to hold those leaders accountable.
Yeah. Well said.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. The only thing I wanted to add to that is, what do you think is more powerful for a candidate to use, education or fear?
Ooh. Well, I'm afraid of you, so I don't know.
Yeah. Education or fear.
One of them takes a long time. The other one is immediate.
Yeah, I think fear is a stronger thing.
The carrot and the stick kind of analogy here.
And it's funny because the whole reason I got into this race was Trump winning. I was like, the second time.
The second time.
I was like, oh my gosh, like this is scary. I gotta stand up and obviously a lot of awful things have happened. And sometimes this almost feels like maybe I'm using it as a dishonest selling point. It's not dishonest, but like just today I was trying to convince delegates like this is not a normal time.
Yeah.
We don't need this isn't time for normal candidates,
Right. Yeah.
which I fully believe, and why I feel like I'm the best candidate, alternative to the other candidates. I don't know, right now it's seeming like there's one candidate that's real has a lot of support.
There's a lot of old school going on.
Right, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
kind of like the main challenger, it seems.
You're an upsetter. Yeah.
But I was telling the delegates that, so I was kind of using fear, but at the same time, that's the exact fear that got me into this race. Like, holy crap!
Is it the same kind of fear? Is it anxiety or is it fear or
no? Yeah,
urgency versus
it's the
existential dread?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I guess my point is there was a good reason to be fearful, and I'm letting people know that. At the same time, though, I really don't know like how bad it's going to get. I don't know if this could turn into the next. It won't, because I know the people are standing up. But my question, I guess that's just a little insight into the whole question here.
What do you think would be like if we're going to go along with this like idea of politics is going to be different, and we're going to go with the urgency to make it right and to correct the ship? What do you think would derail that, down the line? Like what thing could happen that would be like, oh God, no, don't do that? Does that question make sense?
Yeah, I mean, people just,
to me, it's like corporate sellout. I think we've seen this a few times, is voting against the people's best interests in really important cabinet votes.
So you're saying, can you give me a little bit more of like a hypothetical?
Yeah, like I'll give you an example. I really think it was a bad idea for all the Democratic representatives to confirm Trump appointees. That was a disaster.
Oh, of course it was. Yeah.
And I feel like we knew from March last year that the name of the game is going to be resisting this, and I don't feel like they resisted anything at all. And to me, that was the disaster that happened, was that they've all forgot about resistance.
Yeah, well, no, I totally agree. Are you saying that there could be a time when my like truth-telling politics goes sour and isn't effective or something?
I don't know. I think that
It's all about water.
what are you doing?
It's all about water.
It's all,
We're gonna distract us.
It was
here?
like my friend who was got real drunk the other day and was pissing down the stairwell, and all I hear was that. I was like, what is he pissing on?
here's the talking stick.
I guess, I'm asking you to predict the future, right? Like, what's going to happen in Minnesota's politics that could be the next disaster that we should
We're at a
seek to
definite
avoid?
crossroads, that's for sure.
I'm not that wise. I appreciate it though, but that's the crazy thing. Like these predictions, some of them seem so. Oh, the experts know. They'll be able to determine what's going to happen. Somebody has the exact answer, but then it's going to be either Kamala or Trump, and and we don't know. That's the beauty of life. We don't know what the heck the future's going to bring. So I don't know.
I'll float something out there.
Yeah.
I think that returning to the idea that democracy means for the people, right?
I think that's everything.
And I think that a huge derailment on our immediate future would be not centering people in politics. I think that's the crisis that we could face next.
Yeah, I think that's the crisis we face now. Do you agree?
Oh my God, yeah. Like it's barely happening. I think that the focus on Minneapolis and the resistance that we've witnessed has been a people-centered moment.
Yeah.
And I feel like not using that as momentum or as an example to move forward is a huge mistake.
Exactly.
But I think that what we've seen in the last year is the detriment of not centering people and the political cost of it, because we've had a lot of corrections in like Mondami being a, did I say his name right?
Mom Donnie.
Did I really messed it up?
That's okay.
Man, I feel dumb for
No,
that.
everybody does. Everybody does.
I always think I say it right, Mom Donnie.
Mom Donnie, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he was a correction towards the people-centered politics that we needed. But if we don't have more of that, I think we're in trouble. What about you?
Something that I've thought of
Puppy center.
throughout this is like, what if we do beat this fascist wave, just like the Nazis or whatever? Then one day, then it's just gonna be back again.
Right.
We're mortal, you know. We don't have to worry about. All we have to worry is about our life and what we do, you know.
Right.
We're
so
gonna
leave
I guess,
a better legacy.
Yeah, we can't really control. I don't know. Unforeseen things rise, and it's just up to us to do what we can in our own lives, for the sake of our own lives. You know,
Right.
Nothing's really gonna matter to us once.
Yeah, I think that it's like the moment right now where our future generations are going to look back at us and say either thanks for fixing us for us or why didn't you do more? And you know, that's our goal, is to leave it better than we found it.
Let's go get some stew.
Yeah.
We're talking about stew over there, huh?
These guys,
I agree.
they're gonna keep on talking.
Do we have any way of wrapping this up?
Well, if we don't change
anything
it,
more than awkwardly,
we'll have Naomi running around trying to sell us on believing that our version of the KGB is the best way to secure our country.
What the hell are you talking about?
That's exactly what I was thinking. But I'm sure that's a good
You
point.
mean Naomi Klein, or that's only
You know, what's her name?
Noam.
Oh, Noam, Christy Noam.
Well, I was
yeah.
trying to be.
She's
yeah.
gone
Noam.
I-
Yeah,
I guess one thing I
you're
can
gonna
say
put her in
is-
jail, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we're gonna vote you in to get her in jail, right?
federally prosecute anyone.
Yep.
And it I won't be grabbing them and throwing them in jail like Trump wants to
No,
do
but
with
you're
his
gonna
political opponents.
your first bill you're gonna introduce is gonna be the return the DOJ to an independent agency of integrity.
Yeah.
The,
Bill?
The 25th Amendment would probably be a good place to purge.
It'd be called the Manny Manderson Act.
No, but holding anyone that's done anything unconstitutional, illegal in the Trump administration accountable is a very big thing.
Amen to that.
And expanding the Supreme Court.
Yeah, and well that
Or impeach some of those guys for being hibbity too, you know.
Yeah, I guess closing words. One is try not to ever become too infatuated by one politician. I see a lot of people, they
What?
start getting convinced by somebody that happened today.
But I like you.
Thank you. But then they go, but that's fine because we've actually sat down and talked for a long time, so you
Yeah.
have confidence in me. There's people that they want to find that it, so that they see somebody and then they start turning to their neighbor and they're like, wow, she's powerful.
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe, but
You mean that
but
tribal
yes,
politics.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's how I was. I was wanting to find that next hero,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's not really how politics works, you know. So that's one thing to take away. But also, so right now I'm in the midst of this endorsement process, and anybody that could be a delegate already would have had to go to their caucus. So I'm sure I'll be getting in contact with you, if not speaking to you in person, if you are a delegate. But for the majority of the people out there that are not delegates, we'll see what happens with this endorsement process. But particularly if there's no endorsement, my election is on August 11th. It's the Democratic primary. So it doesn't matter what party you're registered in. You can go to the polls, I think registered Democrat for just that. You can vote.
So busy summer for you coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very. But
Cool.
anyway, and then if I'm the nominee, you would vote on, or whoever's the Democratic nominee, I would say vote for. We need to get Pete Stauber out of there. He's nothing but a corrupt tool for Trump, and the general election's on November 3rd. So I'll end with that.
Holy cow, man.
Yeah.
No, general election is coming up in only a couple months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time goes quick.
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna leave it there, I guess, huh?
Thanks,
The
Manny.
stew.
We'll do a sign off.
And I'm like so thankful for you guys for inviting me. This has been just as good as I could have
Yeah.
imagined it.
Li-
And I'm honored and thrilled.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you being here.
We're just touching the surface here. We got a lot more to give you.
Yeah,
So let's-
absolutely.
Let's
I'd love
do
to.
a
Rob Farnsworth, this is for you. Any other politician out there or
Yeah.
expert in any field, our adversaries, steel workers, will take anybody that would come and talk with us. We've got a lot to say, and the only way we ever pull out of things like this is to work together.
We have some solutions.
Yep, there are solutions, and this is a pretty big problem.
There's some engineering technical stuff that can happen, and
Northeastern Minnesota has done some
That's my
stunning
job.
things in historically.
Right.
We won a couple world wars. Why can't we clean up our mess? Of course we can.
We're going to lead the
Of course
nation
we
in
can.
resistance and environmental stewardship. I'm Andy.
I'm Mike.
and I'm gung ho.
Well, it's actually Chris
Yeah.
and Manny Manderson for Christmas.
Emmanuel Anastos.
That's
Just so you know, you can call me Manny though.
Venison stew.
You've been listening to the ViewsRmine podcast. I appreciate every second that you've listened to us talk. Thank
It's
you.
them minor guys.
And in getting this
Yeah.
getting this education today, I feel, and this is how I felt when I first met with Mike, but now more so looking at the maps, I feel the rocks and the water and the earth like all flowing through me.
If you don't believe in Manny, I mentioned Hay Lake to him, gave him a couple tips on it, and he walked out there a couple days later himself. And it's miles through the woods. You don't drive to it through the truck and park.
I lost my Crocs in the bog, so I walked back on the gravel barefoot, and I got kind of chased by a couple swans.
The guy's legit.
It's dedicated.
Yeah, and there's no fucking wild rice there. They're lying to you.
Yeah.
It's destroyed. It's just weeds.
So it's a call out to your fellow candidates to also go visit. Yeah. Alrighty.
Adios.
Amazing.
Thank you, everyone. ViewsRmine.